Great. Well, welcome everyone. We've got 41 participants on the call so far. I imagine we'll have more people join. This is kind of an informal affair, so if people need to leave, because if you saw the agenda that went out, there is no lunch scheduled. So whenever you need to leave for a bio break or to go grab some food for lunch, that's totally fine. We will be recording the entire thing, so you can catch up on any part you missed later. But other than that, I'm going to just turn it over to Sam with RapidSOS. They have a lineup of partners today to introduce you to with their RapidSOS platform. And I guess with that, Sam, I'll just turn it over to you.
Thank you so very kindly, Daryl. Welcome, folks. 40 participants, not too horrible. Like Daryl mentioned, super informal today. The purpose was to gather some Colorado 911 centers, to be totally honest, at the request of many of you, to help understand a little bit more about some of our data partners and our partner network. We hear comments all too often that they're, and it's a good problem to have, but we have so many different data partners that do so many different things, and it'd be handy to have an outlet to understand who does what comes with the portal on its own, what is something you need to enable, what's something you might need to contract with another entity for. So that's the goal for this one, is to help you folks understand that. We polled you a couple months ago and asked who you wanted to hear from and whose technology you were more interested in learning more about. So we gathered a lot of those and gathered who we could, and that is the reason for the pretty much back-to-back agenda that we have today. Like Daryl mentioned, if you do need a break, take a break. If you do need a lunch, take a lunch. But we've got partners about every 15 to 20 minutes. You should have the agenda. Each of the partners is going to go over about 15 to 20 minutes of their solution, provide a demonstration, and have plenty of time for Q&A afterwards. I'll take a quick look at the agenda. So I'll introduce myself. I brought a good friend with me, who you're very familiar with anyways. We'll talk very briefly about what RapidSOS is if you don't know. And I want to talk a little bit about the difference between our data partners and our partner network. After that, we'll introduce the special guests one at a time, about 15 minutes for each of them. If there's time at the end, again, I want to chat about Premium or answer any questions about RapidSOS Premium as they come up, and talk a little bit about our training portal as well, if there's time. So that being said, who are we? If you and I have not had the chance to engage, my name is Sam. I am a Colorado native. I am a dad to a 4. He'll be 5 next month, in less than a month now. I've been in public safety for 10-ish or over 10 years now. My career in public safety began at the city of Aurora, Colorado, as a police and fire dispatcher, working with Diane Culverhouse was the director over there. I still keep very close with those folks and kind of make the trek to visit them often, still living in Colorado. After Aurora, I went to Motorola Solutions, did CAD records and jail deployment. So I've, kind of been immersed in public safety since Aurora in 2012 when I joined. I've been at RapidSOS, which is almost coming up on 2 years or year and a half-ish, which is blowing my mind, but a total dream to work here, having a blast. RapidSOS is the one common thread between 98% of the PSAPs in Colorado. So it's certainly a pleasure to represent Colorado and to be able to serve you folks. If my good, close colleague, Bruce Romero, happens to be here, I'd love for you to introduce yourself, sir.
I am, Sam. Thanks. I didn't know if I was going to be able to make it on time. I'm glad I have been able to. I probably know most everybody in the room, but if I don't know you, my name is Bruce Romero. I'm the Western Region Manager for RapidSOS. Been in 911 for the last 34 years. Spent my last 5 years as the Director of the Arapahoe County 911 Authority in the Denver metro area. Year as the Colorado 911 Resource Center Director, and then 20 years plus in the Aspen PSAP. Started my career in a very small PSAP in Southwest Colorado, or I'm sorry, Southwest Kansas. But thrilled to be here, thrilled to help out and bring you the information that you need. My primary role is with RapidSOS Premium here at RapidSOS. So any questions after today you have regarding Premium and where we're going with that, reach out. I'm happy to help.
Awesome, Bruce. Thank you so very much, sir. Moving right along. So here we are with what is RapidSOS, and I'm confident most of you have a darn good idea what RapidSOS is and that you use it inside your centers today. We are an intelligent safety platform. We do a lot of different things. What many of you know us most for is the location that we provide on behalf of Apple and Google of your wireless 911 calls and text messages. That is the LIS part of our solution, the location information server. Where we've genuinely thrived as a company, and essentially why you're here today, is the ADR portion of our solution, and that is additional data repository. We're in 2022 and a half now, almost 2023, in a world where a traditional 911 call may not be the only way you receive information about emergencies. IoT devices, Apple Watches, smart homes, smart buildings, gunshot detection, connected vehicle, connected mobility, all sorts of stuff is making you aware in 911 of emergencies out in the field. And we are one common thread by which a lot of that information is delivered to you. We'll talk about these data partners today, and it's not common that you're going to see data from every single one of them every single day. But as time goes on and the more data partners we have and the more folks that want to be a part of the RapidSOS data partner network, the more data we're going to see in 911 as we transition to next generation. And over the next 10 years, when who knows if we'll be taking physical 911 calls, in 10 years with all the data and technology out in the world. So we are the intelligent safety platform by which all of that data is delivered to your 911 center. Some of these slides you may have heard me present prior, but in the most general sense of the term, how RapidSOS platform works is something happens out in the world. A car is crashed, an Apple Watch hits the ground, a smart home alarm goes off, any number of devices or applications are triggered out in the wild. That information is sent directly to the RapidSOS portal and delivered to 911 based on the geographic boundary files that we have for the agencies. This information is delivered instantaneously. In milliseconds. I guess I can't say instantaneously, but it's milliseconds. You will talk to 911 centers who will honestly say that many times data in RapidSOS portal comes well before a phone call or well before the monitoring center lets you know. So again, in the broadest sense of the terms, something happens in the world, RapidSOS is notified, we send it to the ECC. You've heard me give these numbers, and we love to talk about them, but we're coming closer to 500 million connected, 500 million devices in the world that we're sending data through the RapidSOS portal to. We're coming up on 5,300 ECCs across the United States, 165 plus, coming up on 200 million emergencies annually. And we spend a lot of time doing events like this, engaging with you in person, hosting events like Ready 22. Shameless plug right there for our virtual event that we're hosting. But we're built for public safety by public safety, and we spend a lot of time in the field understanding what means the most to you and what you folks need from us, and we go out and we do it. So those are just numbers that we love to talk about. A quick example I always like to give of data in 911. On the left, you see the information that traditional anti-alley data is 512 bytes of data. I make the joke that when Bruce was dispatching back in the 1800s, the first transatlantic telegram sent from the US to the UK was more bytes of data than that. So sorry, Bruce. The data we have on the right is a visual representation of data you could see in RapidSOS today, namely multimedia, live and on-the-fly information, geo-reference to the specific event, first responder tracking, and this is what we're working with in 911 today. And it's been a long time coming, for 911 to have access to some of the information that you have on your smartphone today. I always talk about how the fact you can watch your Uber driver drive up to your house or your destination. You can see your pizza be delivered to your house from Domino's. 911 has access to none of that. None of that technology has crossed the boundary into the 911 infrastructure, and we are bridging that gap as we speak. Not specifically with Domino's yet. 10 years of research and development, 400, close to 500 million connected devices, including wearables, connected mobility, smartphones, applications, connected buildings, all sorts of things from different different tracks across the world, like health, connected vehicle, multimedia, medical, all sorts of stuff being delivered to 911 centers and to first responders and potentially emergency contacts through the RapidSOS portal. We say that it's the right data in the right place at the right time. So one thing that we take a tremendous amount of pride with, and again, you've heard me say this 1,000 times, but we partner with absolutely everyone. We take a lot of incoming data from these sorts of partners. So I'll break down the difference between data partner and partner network here in a second, but these represent some of our data partners. This is information coming into the RapidSOS portal from items out in the world, from Uber vehicles, from Simply Safe alarms, from American Red Cross, from Medical Alert, from Instacart, so on and so forth. So this represents a small picture of the nearing 70 data partners that we have information come into the RapidSOS portal with. We like to tout that 3 out of 5 911 calls will have some sort of rich data that could be pertinent to your 911 call. That number is growing rapidly. I'm sure you've seen the Apple announcement for the iPhone 14 with the crash detection is something that we're tremendously excited about as well. So data partners versus partner network. With our data partners, some of the items that you can expect to see, and again, maybe not every single day, but potentially periodically and often, emergency health profiles, both from Medical Alerts and our emergency health profile partner website that we created. Vehicle crash telematics from SiriusXM. What 3 words? If you don't know about it, I would suggest you Google it ASAP. It's a total blast. Alarm information from Simply Safe, Cove, and Ecobee. Apple and Google information that you're used to seeing every single day. Apple Medical ID information, Google language, the device language itself. Something to understand about data partners is that this is coming into the RapidSOS portal at no cost to you. This exists in our standard, regular old, everyday jurisdiction view portal or secondary query view portal. These are data partners that we work diligently to sign every single day, week, month, who believe they have pertinent information to a 911 call in any number of fashions, but they want to deliver that to 911. These are the different types of data that you're going to see day to day. We always like to advertise that these are all typically supplemental to the 911 call. You're still going to get your regular old 911 call, but you're going to get your what 3 words location. You're going to get crash telematics from SiriusXM. You're going to get device language from Google in addition to the 911 call. And this information is additional and supplemental. The purpose of this is to consolidate any sort of pertinent emergency information into a single pane of glass. It would be nice if you had access to all this information, health profile, crash telematics, what 3 words, Apple and Google, but if they all require their own individual logins or individual portals by which to receive that information, you'd have 130 screens at every dispatch console. So moving along, talking about partner network. So partner network is a term we've coined for data and solutions inside RapidSOS provided by a third party. A lot of them you'll meet today, and types of data could be live video, text to or from 911, first responder location, building safety and weapons detection, floor plans, indoor mapping. The list is endless, but these are companies that you will contract with to bring their solution into the RapidSOS portal. Again, the purpose primarily driving this is to have more solutions in one single pane of glass, single sign-on, one throat to choke, one pane of glass to see some of these solutions. Again, each of these solutions has a tremendous capacity to serve your 911 center in their own right. But if you could combine some of those solutions into one that you're already using, that's the problem we're trying to solve. If we can save you 1 minute of logging into another solution, one screen to have your floor plans and your indoor mapping up, that's what we aim to do with our partner network. So we regularly sign new partners to deliver these solutions inside of RapidSOS. And again, the major benefit is that you're already using RapidSOS. So it could behoove you to explore solutions that we can bring in through that single sign-on process. Moving right along, we will talk to some of our data partners. So if Mike is on the line, or Daryl, if you've seen Michael Hirsch from SiriusXM, he is slated to be our first partner to give a presentation.
I am here actually, so If you're ready, I'll switch over and take over sharing.
Mike, I'm good to go. Go ahead and steal the screen if you can.
I cannot start the screen share while you're sharing.
Let's stop that then.
Okay, can you guys see my screen? Should be seeing a
Yep,
splash screen
looks good.
slide. Great.
Yep, yes, sir.
So I appreciate the opportunity to speak to everyone today. My name is Michael Hirsch. I am a senior product manager at SiriusXM Connected Vehicle Solutions. I work in the safety and security division. So finding ways to help protect our customers and do better communication with our partners and help save lives is my whole job. So diving in, one of the first questions that usually comes up is, why are we talking to an audio company about safety? So for anyone who isn't aware, SiriusXM Connected Vehicles has actually been a third-party call center supporting cellular communication from vehicles for over 25 years now. We currently have about 12 million active vehicles on the road across 16 different OEM programs. Most folks don't know we're in this business because we're answering the phone the way the car manufacturer wants us to. And so a customer signs up with Toyota Safety Connect or Honda Assist, and behind the scenes, in many cases, it's SXM agents answering those calls and not using our name with the customers. And that is a separate subscription from the SXM audio subscription, which is our parent company. So I get that question a lot. Regardless, we get roughly 90,000 calls a month across crash events, emergency calls, and then also stolen vehicle notifications. We screen those calls and ensure there is an emergency that needs 911 first responders before our agents ever reach out to pass that along. And as I mentioned, we've been doing this for a long time, over 25 years. And in most of that time, there really hasn't been any change in the technology involved. It's still a voice call to an ECC or PSAP site, whoever's responsible for where the emergency takes place, and then a verbal communication of what happened, what is the vehicle you're looking for, and where did it happen exactly. So partnering with RapidSOS allows us to get a lot more data through, and also to just help overall in that communication and clarity. So I'm sure many of you have seen sites like this where, oh, there was a major crash on a big road, probably an eye-catching crash, maybe a rollover, something like that. And so you get dozens of calls that have to be triaged that are from Good Samaritans trying to help, but that are, filling the call queue and potentially obscuring other emergencies while you try and determine, is this someone who has relevant information? Can they help triage this call? Can they help us understand what needs to happen and what the problem is? So one of the things that I really like about our partnership with RapidSOS is you can see right up here that there is a marker, and you can set separate notification noises as well to indicate, hey, this is the one that actually has crash data. If I take this particular call out of the list, then I know that I'm speaking to an agent in communication with that car. I'm going to see the information about that crash event, what the car is, where it happened. And that direct communication can help prioritize calls in a situation where there might be dozens of calls from those Good Samaritans, helping to pull the relevant data out of the noise. So what data are we sending over? Well, obviously that's somewhat dependent on what's available from the vehicle, but we're sending over information about the vehicle, the make, the model, the color, the year, and of course, the most important piece of information, the precise location. So that's the GPS coordinates directly from the car, directly provided. On top of that, we've got customer profile, which is typically at least the customer's name and phone number, the speed that the vehicle was traveling at the time of the incident, or it is still traveling if it's, an SOS call where they're complaining about a drunk driver or something like that. In a crash event, then we can actually build that out and help determine severity. So crash telemetry, what type of impact was it? Was it a front impact? Was it a side impact? Did the vehicle roll over? Which airbags went off? How many people were in the car at the time of the accident? And were they wearing their seatbelts or not? And then, as Sam mentioned right as I was getting on the call, medical history. So if the customer has a medical alert account, then that information will be pulled and delivered directly along with the rest of the data that we're sending over. And this is all available today free of charge through the RapidSOS portal view or through direct integration via API into whatever CAD tools your call center might already be using. So the whole intent for us, for SiriusXM CV, is to get the data in an easy to use format, make it as clear as possible, and make sure that we're helping communication and not obscuring things with, unnecessary detail. So to that end, we've been working with partners and sites around the country to do disaster simulation events where we reach out to a call center, we simulate events as well as get normal calls or take part, more preferably, in an existing disaster simulation event where it might be a winter storm preparation or some kind of crash event or toxic spill cleanup. And by adding our data to that mix, we can take a look and evaluate, are we helping? What information needs to be prioritized? How should it be best presented? So in if we look at that consolidated data, the average time savings for those crash events is 55 seconds. It is 55 seconds faster from the time that call reaches the call queue to the time that the PSAP site deemed the call ready for dispatch and in a real emergency would have sent out police, fire, or medical as appropriate. That's 30% faster for those calls versus the legacy call types that we're comparing them against. That's a big time savings. And just looking at some of the most recent one of those disaster events, this one took place in Michigan, near Detroit. There's an older NHTSA study that says that a 17% reduction in fatalities is there for each minute saved in emergency response getting on scene. So we're saving 55 seconds during that test event on average. Then potentially that's up to 152 lives saved just in the first part of 2022 in that area of Michigan where this disaster simulation event took place. That's a lot of people that could be helped. And that to us is the most fundamental piece of this. But I can sit up here and talk about why we think it's useful all day and not be as impactful as actually talking to the people that were part of that disaster simulation event and were actually the ones taking the calls. So let me make sure I am sharing sound here. And Sam, if you can just give me a thumbs up if the audio is coming through once I start this video, that would be great.
When we have accidents, we get a lot of third-party callers. We get a lot of passerbys that are calling in reference, what they believe that they saw. We're not getting the information of what's inside the vehicle, and that's of utmost importance.
Having the SiriusXM connected vehicle data pushed to us on the initial onset of the call is invaluable. Now we have information that is useful to us and that can translate into action in the field to the first responders. They're not waiting for someone on the other end of the phone to be able to provide that information and hope that it's accurate.
So some of the information that's coming through, it lets us know how fast the car was going when the impact or crash occurred. It lets us know the color of the vehicle, potentially if there's airbag deployment, even how many passengers are potentially in the vehicle, what side of the vehicle was impacted if the vehicle rolled over, if the driver has diabetes or any other medical condition.
To have the medical information through the SiriusXM connected vehicle program, we can better help our patients. We can better help our first responders know what type of situation they're getting into. So for example, if the driver has diabetes, that might be something that our paramedics could check on, check their blood sugar levels, check their insulin, or if they have a heart history or any allergies to medications, that way our first responders know how to help our citizens.
The system in itself is allowing us the technology and the information that we need to help save lives and get help to them quicker.
One of the agencies that we dispatch for, it's in their policy to automatically dispatch the fire department if airbags have been deployed. So just knowing that ahead of time in the RapidSOS SiriusXM connected vehicle technology, just knowing that gets the firefighters on the way quicker if the passerby didn't know that the airbags were deployed or didn't observe that.
We have hard data that we can go with instead of just trying to rely on someone that's screaming and try to make out what they're actually saying. It's very black and white. It's not, well, I think that's what she said, or this is what I think it is. No, it's black and white. It's a very good tool.
I'm excited to have that as our daily technology that we have, being able to locate vehicles. I think it takes a lot of that stress away. When you have multiple colors, you actually know you're getting information directly from that vehicle. You have a really good idea as to what's going on, and I think that it'll help lots of call centers with their calls, getting them dispatched properly.
We can really filter out that pertinent data to be able to make prioritization decisions quicker. That is going to alleviate some of that response time, and even if it's a few seconds counts.
And Michael makes a very good point there at the end, the same one that I was trying to make, speaking about the disaster simulation events. Those seconds do count. And that's why we work with RapidSOS on a regular basis. We reach out to as many PSAPs and ECCs as we can to try and understand how better to prioritize that data. What's most important? What needs to be at the top of the list? What can be pushed a little further down? And making things smoother from start to finish is our primary goal. That is the key here to help save lives. So that was what I wanted to share. And thank you for the opportunity to come in and do that. But if there are any questions or things that I can help to answer.
Folks, I will add that, again, if you have RapidSOS portal today, you do have access to SiriusXM connected vehicle data that is coming through. I forgot to preface that the first half of our day is going to be filled with partners that are already coming into the RapidSOS portal, that there is no additional cost to work with. So if you have RapidSOS portal jurisdiction view, you have access to the SiriusXM data. It is as hard as enabling the data the data source inside the portal. I'm happy to work with you to ensure that it is selected. That being said, we also have a little bit of insight into where and when these connected vehicle crashes are occurring. I did preface a bit with the fact that you're probably not going to see 10 SiriusXM connected vehicle crashes in your one ECC portal today. Unlikely, could happen, but it's unlikely. I think it's going to be significantly more common in the coming months and years. But if you're interested in knowing how many of these SiriusXM connected vehicle bits of data or data deliveries have hit your jurisdiction view portal, whether it was logged in or whether you received the information or not, I'm happy to get you those numbers.
And this is Daryl, Sam. So when you talk about making sure that it's turned on, is that just like in a settings screen? Forgive me for the stupid question because I don't actually work in one of the PSAPs.
No, you're totally fine. So yes, under the administration portal, you can toggle on or off data sources. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, by default, almost all of the data sources are enabled when you sign up for RapidSOS portal. You have to opt out of seeing data. So SiriusXM should be enabled, but if it's not, I'm happy to walk somebody through it. But it is in the admin settings that you can toggle on and off.
Excellent, thank you.
So I did mention during the my little presentation there that we've done a number of disaster simulation events across the country. I'm sure Sam has all my contact information. So if anyone is interested in reaching out and making SiriusXM a part of that, so you can better see it within your own call center and so that we can test with your team, we'd love to be a part of that.
Awesome, Mike. Thanks so very much for joining. I'll reiterate, if you have any questions or thoughts or concerns for Mike after the fact, let me know and I can put you all in touch.
Thank you guys very much for the time today. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike. All right, our next presenter, assuming you can all hear and see my screen now. Do we have Cody on from 911 Inform? Cody or I believe I saw Frank.
Sam, I am here. How are you, sir?
Very well. How are you, sir?
Doing fine. Thanks for inviting us.
Happy to have you, sir. I will unshare my screen if you'd like to take over and give about a 15-20 minute demonstration.
Absolutely. And then Jake Dampass will be joining us shortly. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, Sam, you should be able to see my screen now.
Looking good, sir.
Thumbs up. Let me go ahead and get that from the beginning. Okay, this is the only slide we need. We're done, Sam. Hello, everybody. I appreciate it. I'm Frank Millis with 911 Inform. I'm the National Accounts Manager. We are pleased to be a RapidSOS ready business partner for supplemental data, working with the RapidSOS jurisdiction view. And I just want to give you a quick overview of our product with these PowerPoints, and then we'll give you a very fast live demonstration of how this can enhance the PSAP situational awareness as well as first responders. So it all starts out with the jurisdiction view on RapidSOS, which you're all aware of. The second slide here, hopefully you can see that. The red slide, it says 3 mouse clicks can save seconds and save lives. So what we do is within the RapidSOS jurisdiction view, we build what we call a macro geofence. And this is what the macro geofence looks like. Hang on just a minute. Somehow Zoom is kind of being funky with my slides here. There we go. Okay, so what we do is we build a smaller geofence. We call this a macro geofence around the customer's property, the indoor and the outdoor areas. So if there is a 911 call within that macro jurisdiction, it notifies your telecommunicator, and this is the jurisdiction view, a snapshot of it. In the upper right corner, it says connected building 911 informed. So that's the first click that they would perform. The second click, like I said, Zoom is kind of funky here on me. Whoop, back it down one. Okay. So these are the second and third clicks. The second click basically says, do you want to access the building? And then by clicking yes, it says, are you sure? If so, yes, confirmed. Now, this is very important because in the beginning, when we started offering our supplemental data to the PSAP, I've spent a lot of time in PSAPs across the country. I know that sometimes at 2 o'clock in the morning, if the dispatcher happens to be looking at the RapidSOS jurisdiction view, they may see that macro geofence and be curious, so they click on it. It's important to know that when the PSAP clicks on that micro geofence, it's actually sending a notification to the on-site people that there may be an incident, okay? So within RapidSOS, that third click, it says accessing the building will launch 911 Inform and notify their subscribers of a potential emergency. Okay, so those are the 3 clicks. It's all very short, very sweet. And hang on just a minute. This thing just is not synchronizing at all. Somehow we're having problems with Zoom here. Okay, so I'll go on. So essentially, what we call the immediate responders, okay? Those are the people that happen to be on site that can enact some kind of a response while the first responders are en route, okay? So this could be a school SRO, making them aware, as an example, that let's say somebody was seen with a gun in the parking lot, or there's a student with a broken leg in the gym. So making sure that the school nurse, the SRO, any security people, and in some of our other commercial clients' cases, the people who've received, let's say, active shooter, stop the bleed training, making those people aware. Because if it takes, let's say, 3 to 5 minutes for first responders to arrive, these immediate or the on-site responders can get an AED. They can get an EpiPen. And we have a number of instances in schools, especially, where students have had severe allergic reactions. And by notifying the nurse, within a few seconds, they were able to get the EpiPen applied very quickly, while EMS was en route. So we really believe that this technology is going to enhance and save a lot of lives. Plus, that on-site notification is important in that I've talked to so many of our clients where they say, we didn't know there was a 911 call until the first responders, the sirens, and we saw the lights in the parking lot. Okay, so this gives them an awareness that and an acknowledgement that you responded to that emergency. Okay, so it's super simple. Okay, the next slide here. Hang on just a minute. And Sam, for some reason, this is getting way ahead of ourselves here.
Hey, Frank, we're seeing your PowerPoint application screen. So we're seeing the slides, but we're seeing the one that where your mouse is right now. That's the screen we're seeing. So if you're presenting something else, we're not seeing that.
Yeah, for some reason, every time I click forward or backward, it's not working properly.
Okay. Well, we can
go ahead and get to the live. We can do the live demo in just a minute here. So the last thing for the PSAP is at the PSAP, you then have the ability, we can show you the floor plan. Okay, so instead of just seeing pins on the map, by doing those 3 clicks, the PSAP sees the floor plan, and that floor plan includes IoTs and devices. So it can show you where the fire extinguishers are, the AEDs. It can show you the status of the doors. Is the front door locked or unlocked? It can show you the best route if it's a large building. So instead of going to the front door, go through the west door. The west door is open and it's 20 steps to that particular classroom. So it gives dispatch much better situational awareness. The other thing that we do is that dispatch has the ability to click and invite the first responders. So it will send a link to the first responders so that on their MDTs or smartphones, it can be an email, they can use email, they can use a browser, but essentially it gives them the ability to see that on their MDT or smartphone. The same thing the dispatch center is seeing. So we call this a single pane of glass. What dispatch sees is what the primary on-site personnel would see, let's say that SRO on a smartphone, as well as the first responders. So everybody's seeing the same thing in real time. Now we can also, our system is permission-based. We can also give permissions to the first responders to view things like cameras. And this is really critical. Indoor, outdoor cameras. Before that SWAT team breaches the door, if there's a camera in the hallway, it's good that they can see the link, they can get linked to that camera to see what's on the other side of the door or what's going on inside of the school. Okay, so this floor plan is really critical, and we will go ahead, I'll go ahead and give you guys a demonstration.
Frank, if you want to let me share my screen.
Jake, there you are. So let's go ahead. Let me stop sharing here. Hang on just a minute. Okay, hang on.
And good morning, everyone. My name is Jake Damphouse. I work alongside Frank and with Sam and RapidSOS. I'm with 911. So let me just share my screen really quick, and we will get into the demo. Can everybody see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. So kind of along the lines of what Frank was just talking about, what we're looking at now is our platform, the 911 Inform platform. It's completely browser-based, so there does not need to be any applications or software downloaded. One of the key components as well is each emergency event is a unique active link. So from a security and information security standpoint, if an event is extended to specific individuals that really have knowledge of that specific emergency, they can be brought in, but once the emergency is over and closed out, they no longer have any of the access to either the floor plan or any of the technologies that have been integrated. So just something to keep in mind, right? This can be a one-off, it can be a constant. It really just depends on the situation and the enterprise that is basically in question. So I know we only have a few minutes. I'll kind of hit some of the high level areas, and then we'll definitely leave some time for some questions. What we're looking at here is an emergency notification that's coming out of this building in room 303. We look at it as, hey, each one of these rooms is you can change where this emergency is happening on the fly. And if there's any information as far as, this is just coming in as a basic 911 call, we don't know the nature of the event. Where this comes in is we have a common chat platform for each event. So everyone that's involved, whether it's from the law enforcement and public safety side, all the way to administrators and on-site security, everyone's brought in so they can communicate on the same page. And this is right there on the notification of the emergency itself. So this is something that the enterprise is going to be using as far as, hey, I've got an emergency happening in one of my buildings. Let's do some investigation, figure out what's going on. So, a typical scenario is we've got an emergency call that will say there's a medical emergency in break room. Now, in a lot of cases, what's happened, someone ran back to their office, they called on their phone, they said, hey, there's an emergency happening. So the call is coming out of room 303, but on the fly, we know there's something actually happening down the hall in the break room. So with our system, we can basically say, hey, this is actually where that emergency is taking place. This is where we need the response to go. So that's the first step. We can alter this as an emergency is changing. If something starts inside, moves to outside in a parking lot, we can update that as well. And that's the first component. The second component that Frank had alluded to is the ability to basically build in to whatever the customer wants and whatever the procedures that they have, where they can just say, hey, I have these procedures set in place, and you can communicate that between public safety and on-site to say, all right, we need to put this into a medical emergency state. And then based on whatever they want from a workflow standpoint, we're showing, hey, we've got medically trained personnel on site. They can do CPR until we wait for EMS to arrive at the scene. So those are just a few additional things. From a law enforcement standpoint, we've added some additional tools, I should say, where if we needed to put a building into lockdown and then clear out that building, we can do that through the platform where we're saying, okay, we have rooms 309, room 308. These are clear, right? So we're just communicating on the same page. Everyone's seeing as things are happening. On top of that, where we integrate from a technology standpoint, we have door access control integrations, camera and video surveillance integrations, right? So if I needed to reach over and unlock a door because this is the door that I approached, I can just do that right there on my MDT or my cell phone, wherever I'm receiving that alert. I have remote access. And then it brings back to the point where if I'm not typically a person that has access to this building, I don't have key cards or the code, I'm only getting that access during the emergency. It goes away once the emergency is closed out. Additionally, those video surveillance integrations, right now we're looking at our office in New Jersey. I sit up in Boston, so I'm just getting remote access. I have visibility into that building, whereas I probably wouldn't have access to that camera system on a day-to-day basis. So to sort of wrap up that thought process, this is something that's triggered off of varying different 911 calls from the phone system that sits in that building. It can also activate on cellular 911 calls. We have panic button integrations, and then we can go down the rabbit hole of all the AI integrations like gunshot and weapons detection. But all of those act as triggers to our system, and our goal is to create a consistent notification, not only to the enterprise, but to then provide as much information to public safety during an emergency as possible. So after, probably drinking from the fire hose with all of that, any questions from the group that we can answer?
Jake, if I can quickly lead with just a little blurb that I wanted to mention. Well, again, yes, this is a free solution available to you today inside of RapidSOS. Obviously, not every ECC is going to have buildings with 911 Inform connected information attached to it. So how we typically manage this is once these folks with 911 Inform solidify the maps and the application for their customer, be it a school district, the state, a state or a mental health or synagogue or church or whatever it is, once they complete that solution, they let us know, we let the ECC know. Some ECCs here in Colorado today that have access to this information live at the ready right this very moment are Denver. I know Auraria campus has purchased this solution. We have a building in Fort Collins. We have all of the Jefferson mental health facilities in Jefferson County. So JeffCom has access to this as well. So once these solutions are procured by these individual businesses, we will make you aware so you're trained and up to speed with what you need to do in case of seeing this information in your portal.
Oh, thank you, Sam. It's Frank. And just so that everybody's aware, as an example, Regis College there, or Regis University in Denver, has implemented our technology. And once they purchase the technology, our system is free for the ECC. So there's no cost to activate 911 Inform in RapidSOS. It's free for both the PSAP as well as the first responders. So the first responders can see these screens on their MDTs. And we give them some additional tools, the battleship mode, being able to clear buildings, being able to see the tactical views of the building, where are the windows, where are the doors, where are the hiding places. So as far as a free system, it's like RapidSOS. We know that the PSAPs are strapped for budgets and time, so we've made our system free, number one. Number two, we've made our system very easy to use. Like I said, 3 clicks and you're there. So this provides much better situational awareness than, like I said, just having the pin on the map. And we will be expanding throughout Colorado. We have a number of clients that we're proposing our systems to there. So you'll see 911 Inform more and more throughout the Colorado area.
Well said, Frank, and I can speak on 911 Inform's behalf as I manage the state of Arizona as well. Those folks are signing up for 50 of their state buildings, and that incorporates 40 plus ECCs that will be receiving 911 Inform data through the RapidSOS portal. So these guys are blowing up.
Outstanding. And by the way, another part of our solution is for the PBX, or the multi-line telephones. We do solve, our technology solves for both Kerry's Law and the Ray Baum Act. So we can basically, if somebody picks up an Avaya telephone in room 302 and they dial 911, the same thing happens. We can show that that phone is located in room 302, or that there's a phone in the West Wing or the conference room that they're calling from. So it's an affordable way to make the clients compliant and to give you guys better locations, even on the PBX side of the house, to be compliant with those laws.
Awesome, Frank. Thank you so much. Any other questions for Frank or Jake or anyone else we've got on the line?
So this is Daryl. The live demo we just watched was from, it shows the address is 911inform.com. So what actually comes through on the RapidSOS portal, if there's information, is it just a link that would pop open this window, or is it something else?
Daryl, it's a link that pops this same exact window. So this is exactly what the dispatchers would see. So if it's at let's say Regis University, the library or one of the buildings there, at the dispatch center, by doing those 3 clicks, they would see the floor plan of that library building at Regis. So just like what you're saying here, they'd see this exact screen.
Very good, thank you.
Absolutely. And Jake, if you could scroll down, there we go. We also have a tab there that says create shareable links. So in other words, if you're dispatching multiple units, you can create that shareable link to send out to all of your units. So if you're sending 5 units, you've got a shareable link. You can post that into CAD notes, wherever you'd like, or you can send it individually to a unit via email or to a phone number.
Hey, Frank,
There you
Patty in the chat is asking if there's any school districts that have signed on with 911 Inform.
We've got several hundred school districts all across the country, but in Colorado, that area is being handled by Cody Grand Prix. We do have an office in Castle Rock. So unfortunately, Cody couldn't be with us here today, but he would know more about any school districts in Colorado. Jake, are you aware of any school districts other than high education like Auraria or Regis?
I don't, I think there was some traction in Douglas County, but I can't be 100% sure. I know he's definitely been working close to the office on some stuff.
Okay. Well, we've been dealing with large school districts all across the country. Yeah.
Another thing to note, it's gaining national attention, but there is a law called Alyssa's Law that deals with panic buttons in K-12 environments. And that's really where we actually started. That's where we grew out of, was providing that to those school districts. So that's another component of our system. And it all kind of ties back in as whatever the emergency trigger is. Our goal is to provide as much information as fast as possible, and then provide those communication tools. So K-12 was actually our first, stronghold in terms of a vertical market.
Thanks very much, Jake. And with 2.5, 3 minutes left, we've got Jeff with his hand raised. Jeff, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I'm curious, this overlays on an orthogonal image here. Is there any mechanism to see an oblique view or just the orthogonal?
The only other view that we have, Jeff, is, and Jake, you could, we've got tactical images here, I think. Yeah. So we can provide multiple tactical images, north, east, south, west of the building, or if the customer wants to provide specific images, what the front doors look like. We've also had some requests to do things like embed videos in the floor plan. So in other words, at the room, let's say for the water shut off, first responders could watch a quick 5-second video saying, here are the 3 valves that need to be turned off. Okay, so we can also embed some videos here into the floor plans.
And 360 imaging of those rooms to identify what those rooms look like, where the door, the access points are.
So Jeff, that's an excellent question. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
We also have administrative menus and history. So per incident, we can provide a complete history of what happened. So in other words, what was the date and time of the incident? Who logged in? Who opened a specific door? Who looked at what camera? And we can put this system in drill mode as well, because as you know, a lot of the schools and government buildings are required to do, let's say, fire drills twice a year or active shooter drills. So our system can be put in drill mode. So we'll do a total simulation, a live simulation, and it keeps that report in history of exactly what transpired during that drill, or if it's an actual event.
Awesome, Frank. Thank you so much. Jake, thank you so much for being here. We sincerely appreciate it. We appreciate our partnership. We appreciate what you're doing for not just Colorado, but the U.S. as a whole. In the interest of time and not to cut into anybody else's, if there are further questions for Frank, Jake, or 911 Inform, please shoot me an email, give me a call. I'm happy to put you in touch or attempt to answer them on their behalf. So thanks so much, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sam. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Daryl, our next guest should be Kieran from Zero Eyes. Hey, Kieran, I see you there, sir.
Hey, Sam. Thanks. Yeah, how's everybody doing? You guys hear me okay? All right, cool.
Yes, sir.
So I'll just go right into it. How's that sound? Good. Okay. So, like Sam mentioned, I'm Kieran Carroll from Zero Eyes. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer. I don't usually cover these webinars, but the bulk of our partnerships team was traveling today, so you guys are stuck with me. I'm gonna go ahead and present my screen. Hopefully by now, quite a few people in Colorado have heard of Zero Eyes, but if you haven't, we are a video analytic software that's manufactured right outside of Philadelphia. Our software does one thing commercially. It integrates to existing security cameras and looks for visible firearms. So the backstory of the company is that the majority of the core team is former military. Most of us came out of the special operations community. After Parkland happened, I like to say we're a team of problem solvers. None of us had any background in software development or really public safety. We were all working corporately at the time, but we have young kids in schools, wives are teachers, moms are teachers, that kind of thing. After Parkland happened, we said, what could we have done to help mitigate an event like this in the future? And one of the things that we kept coming back to is that there are millions of existing commercial security cameras all over K through 12, as well as the broader United States. They're in every industry, every vertical. Something like 125 million commercial security cameras right now in the U.S. today. Based on our research, the vast majority of active shooter and gun violence events start under field of view of an existing camera. That is certainly true within K through 12. That's certainly true within larger verticals as well. In the case of Parkland, that student staged in a stairwell for a little bit less than a minute with a visible rifle. He was under field of view of the camera for the entire time. That was the critical minute where if you had a proactive software that could integrate to the camera to detect a visible gun, we could have gotten a very early detection. We could have alerted people much earlier into the sequence, initiated a lockdown, all those kind of things. So that's the idea that Zero Eyes went to market with. I'm going to show you guys a live demo here in a second. I'm going to walk you through some slides. But in general, we are a very proactive early warning detection system that can integrate to the existing cameras that are already in place. In addition to getting that early detection, we're also a very good situational awareness tool. In the case of Parkland, as folks here know probably better than most, no one actually called 911 until almost 2 minutes after first shots were fired. By the time that those calls got to the local PSAP, they were all largely inaccurate. There were reports of multiple shooters inside the building. There were reports that the perpetrator was armed with a machine gun, which means something totally different to law enforcement than it does your average civilian. And they also misidentified where he was in the building. So by the time the Broward County Sheriff showed up almost 15 minutes into the event, they thought that he was still on the 3rd floor. He was only in the building for 6 or 7 minutes. He exited the building along with hundreds of other kids that were leaving out the side door. In the interim, we think that probably multiple students bled out that probably could have been saved because law enforcement and first responders did not have a complete situational awareness picture of who they were looking for, where he was, and what he was armed with. We're going to show you how Zero Eyes sort of cuts through that noise, puts everybody on a single common operating picture, how we can integrate to RapidSOS to deliver those alerts directly to your local PSAP or ECC or whatever the case may be. From a high level, this is how Zero Eyes is designed to work. Like I said, our software integrates to the existing cameras that are already in place. The only thing our software does is look for a visible firearm. So we're not trying to do anything holstered. We're not trying to do anything concealed. Realistically, your typical security camera does not have the physical capability to look underneath clothing or into a bag. That's a good thing from a privacy standpoint. So we're limited. So based on our research, obviously, having a gun in hand is the primary threat. That's what we're going after. Our software works within milliseconds. We typically integrate to the external cameras to start. So in the school environment, for example, if there's existing camera coverage of parking lots, parking garages, loading docks, externally facing stairwells, sidewalk approach into a building, that's where we're going to start. From there, we move anywhere high traffic into the building. So high traffic hallways, cafeteria, food court, auditorium, gymnasium, anywhere historically we see these guys gravitate towards to inflict mass casualty. Our software is designed to work within milliseconds. And then on top of that, it gets reviewed by a human. So there's a human verification step in this. We have a 24/7 operations center here in Philadelphia. We have another one in Hawaii. We staff those human analyst roles with former military and former law enforcement veterans. They are very comfortable making split-second determinations whether something's a real gun or not. On top of that, they're very good in crisis management situation. We follow air traffic control methodology of crisis management. So if someone gets an incident, they own that incident until it's resolved. The rest of the team picks up gaps around them. We have the ability to reach out and touch any form of communication from our operations center. And as we expand across the country, we're looking to build operation centers in other time zones as well. That's a big piece of expansion for 2023. One analyst can manage about 5,000 to 7,000 cameras at once. We're not looking into active camera feeds. You'll see this in the demo. That's another privacy concern for us. It's a bandwidth limitation as well for most customers. They're doing very simple, very quick object recognition. And because we're software, we're API driven, we can push that verified alert to any endpoint. To include through RapidSOS channels directly to the PSAP. We have a Zero Eyes customer platform that's a desktop dashboard, a mobile app, and text message as redundancy. We give those to all of our customers and end users. And then on top of that, we can integrate to video management systems, access controls, mass notification platforms, PSIM tools, you name it. If it can ingest an API, if it can ingest our API, we're able to hit it. I'm going to show you guys some recent detections of guns that we found just in the last few months. These are all schools. We have another set of images from the commercial stuff. Most of that stuff is NDA'd. It's safe to say right now, on average, we detect firearms in places where they should not be multiple times per week. A lot of these are social media driven. So in this case, this is an elementary school in New Mexico. This was 8 o'clock at night local time. This student is doing a TikTok challenge. You can see her cell phone there in her left hand. She brought a firearm to the school. She was doing some sort of a dance. Our software detected this within milliseconds. We verified it within another couple seconds. It went to the local PSAP. They dispatched an officer. An officer had to come from off-site because it was late at night. Detained her in about 5 minutes. Also caught her friend with a gun. She got detained. They both ended up getting expelled for the remainder of the school year. We see this type of activity all the time. Another really common one that we see in schools is something called the Orbeats challenge. Orbeats is a manufacturer. They shoot little gel-filled pellets. The problem is the form factor of the gun looks very similar to that of real guns. Our analysts are the best in the world at identifying these. Within milliseconds, we can tell if something's real. Obviously, if something is a gray area, we're going to treat it as real. I'll show you one of those here in a second. About 3 months ago, New York City, a kid pointed one of these at an officer and was shot and killed in New York. Kids will cut the orange tip off, or they'll paint over the orange tip. In this case, the kid cut the orange tip off. Our goal is de-escalation, right? So if we see one of these and we know without a shadow of a doubt that it's not a lethal firearm, instead of escalating this and have this turn into a law enforcement response, we're going to call the school or the end user and say, hey, you have an Orbeats gun in your back hallway. Can you go investigate? So 99% of the time, we see these, multiple times per week, probably 20 times a week on average right now. Here's one that is a close call. We treated this as real. This is actually ended up being an airsoft gun. This was from a high school in Texas probably about 3 weeks ago now. In this case, the student was detained in less than a minute by an on-site school resource officer. This was treated as real because we were not able to obviously verify that this was an airsoft gun. Turned out being an airsoft gun. People ask us, why do you have a human verify all of your alerts? Like, why can't the analytics be smart enough to do it itself? And the reason why is stuff like this. We see kids, particularly in K through 12, imitate objects as guns all the time. In this case, it's a cell phone. If you had an unmanaged analytic, chances are this would go through to the end user. This would turn to an alert and potentially a problematic law enforcement response. Like I said, our goal is to always de-escalate. So we get activity like this, 20 to 35 times a week on average. We see kids mimic stuff as guns. Our human verification sequence is going to weed that out and make sure that never goes forward to the end user as a true alert. The last of imagery I'm going to show you actually comes from Oxford High School in Michigan. Oxford had a mass shooter back in November of last year. Four kids were killed, 7 more were wounded. Oxford brought us in after the event. I like showing this imagery because the cameras have not been changed out. These are the same cameras that were on, active, and recording during that event. This is one of our technicians. After we installed the software, he's walking roughly the same route that the shooter walked. He's showing rifle and pistol detections. There in the middle, that's the Zero Eyes mobile app. That's how administrators at Oxford would have been notified as that kid came out of the bathroom with a visible gun and then proceeded to walk around the hallways for another 3 minutes. So this is something that Oxford's obviously very worried about from a peace of mind perspective with students and staff. They're also very worried about copycats coming back, which is a sort of a thing that we historically see within K through 12 active shooter incidents. Like Columbine, for example, has had multiple copycats try to come back to Columbine over the years. Aurora, I believe as well. So a little bit more about the technology from a high level. Like I said, our software is designed to integrate to the existing cameras. Our algorithms are only looking for visible firearms. So we're not trying to do anything behavioral. We're not trying to do anything with facial. As a result, from a privacy standpoint, we're compliant to every privacy framework I've ever seen, to include FERPA, which is the big one, K through 12. On top of that, like I said, there's a 24/7, 365 verification step. We have an op center right down the hallway from me and another one in Hawaii. This is a redundant site. Their goal is to verify on average everything within 1 to 3 seconds. It's a very quick verification sequence. And then if something's real, we dispatch it on our end, which means we push out that verified alert to all the pre-programmed software channels you see there on the right. So that's directly to the PSAP via RapidSOS. That's our Zero Eyes customer platform, as well as any sort of higher level integration to existing infrastructure. I'm going to pull up what this looks like within the RapidSOS clearinghouse. This is from a high school in New Jersey that we tested probably several months ago. Typically within K through 12, when we deploy to a new district, we're going to go and test to make sure that the integration is built accordingly. We'll go to the PSAP or the ECC. We'll train them up on our end to make sure that they understand the information that they're receiving. RapidSOS obviously does a really good job on their end, making sure that the clearinghouse is being used appropriately. But this is really showing you how this kind of works from a geofencing perspective down to the camera level. My last sort of slide before I really kind of launch into a live demo. So I want to talk a little bit about differentiation. ZeroEyes is a clearly differentiated solution for policymakers. And the reason why is we're the patent holder for the technology. We have a Department of Homeland Security Safety Act designation. We're the only video analytic solution in the history of the DHS program to get that. If you don't know the Safety Act, it's a really big deal. It's the gold standard in the security industry. It affords federal liability protection in the event that something is declared as a terrorist attack, which active shooter and mass shootings in the last several years have had a history of the federal government doing that. Affords our end users almost blanket liability coverage. So it's a really big deal. On top of that, everything is built here in the United States by U.S. citizens. We have built a company to be hyper competitive in the public sector market. As a result, right now we're in I think 25 states across public K through 12. We do a lot of work in Michigan and Texas, particularly after Uvalde, but we're expanding the scope basically day over day. We also do a lot of work with municipalities, City of Atlanta, other major metro areas, Harris County, Texas. Department of Defense is actually our biggest customer, so we do a ton of work with DoD. We're on 6 or 7 contracts with the DoD. This software is on military bases. And then from a commercial standpoint, we work with like Fortune 500 companies and Fortune 100 companies across the spectrum of industries. So that's sort of where we are. We spend a large amount of our time educating policymakers and elected officials on the utility of the platform, because at the end of the day, we're a very bipartisan solution. I already sort of just covered this in the last slide, but just kind of rehash it. I want to show you the breadth of where we are. One of the things that we have built, I think, is a universal use case. So if you're running commercial security cameras and you're open to the public, or you have concerns within your organization about active shooter or gun violence, we're a very, very good early warning tool. And I threw some of the logos of companies that are customers up there, as well as other organizations. So Sam, should I pause here for questions, or should I launch into the live demo?
Hey, I want to see that demo. This solution is mind blowing. So let's see the demo, and we're going on 7 minutes. So we're good to go for questions after.
All right, there's a competing demo. So give me like 10 seconds to make sure that those guys. Actually, I'll go ahead and share it. Give me 1 second to reshare my screen.
Yeah. In the meantime, folks, again, this is one other example, and every one of these is an example of benefits of having the RapidSOS portal open and operational at every station in your 911 center. I know we do some tremendous integrations with CAD and phone handling equipment, but this is stuff that primarily you're going to see inside the RapidSOS portal as long as it's visible on your screen. Back to you, Kieran, sorry.
Precisely. Okay, so I brought up a demo environment. There's a competing demo going on at the same time, so I just have to kind of manage this a little bit. I'm going to show you 2 different views of our platform. This is the core ZeroEyes platform. The first view that you're seeing right here, this is what our analysts are looking at for all of our deployed cameras. You can manage thousands and thousands of cameras behind this view. Like I said, we're not looking into active camera feeds. We're waiting for that software to tell us when it thinks something's a gun, at which point it'll spit out a what we call a keyframe image detection that'll pop up right here front and center. As more and more detections come to the platform, they'll stack up here in the queue. Our analyst goal is to verify these as quickly as possible. So on average, between 1 and 3 second verification sequence. For the purpose of the demo, when I pick up a gun here in a second and walk around, I'll let them stack up so you'll get a sense of accuracy. The other view that I'm going to show you is the customer view, and this is typically what's going to be integrated to include oftentimes through the portal. What you're going to see over here on the left is some version of a map. We can integrate to any kind of map file. So any CAD, GIS, KML, KMZ. If you're using a CRG product, we integrate to CRG, all that kind of stuff. The only thing that we do is we pull the latitude and longitude position of every camera that's on the ZeroEyes platform and put them on the map. To give you a sense of scale, this is our office building right outside of Philadelphia. It's a 700,000 square foot building. These pin drops correlate to cameras that are active on the platform. As you guys well know, typically when law enforcement shows up, they go to the front door, right? So take hours and hours and hours to clear through this building. What we're trying to do is we're trying to give first responders a better starting point, geolocated down to the camera level of where that potential threat is. Obviously, customers will have the verified alert once it's verified on our end. That'll pop up over here. As you can see, we just did a demo for another customer. So that's one of our guys walking around there with a pistol. I'm gonna go ahead and redo this here in a second, but just wanted to show you, they also get those verified alerts. Our API pushes these alerts into any software platform. So we can do this into mass notification platform in some form or fashion. This is what the RapidSOS portal and clearinghouse is receiving as well. So there's a JSON file with the timestamp and a geolocation as the metadata. So let me do this. I'm going to go ahead and pick up a gun here. I'm going to walk around. You'll see the alerts populate over here on the right. And when I get back, I'll kind of dispatch through these and show you some accuracy. So I'm going to do pistol, and then if we have time, I'll do rifle. So if you give me like 10, 15 seconds to get back there, you'll start seeing the alerts populate there on the right.
Just to narrate while he's out, this is real time, him walking around the warehouse with a firearm as their solution is connected to existing cameras. So this would, in theory, be going to a monitoring center owned by Zero Eyes staff, where they make those split-second decisions as to whether or not some of these images represent actual weapons or not.
All right, so I'm back. I walked around back there for about 30 seconds. We got 17 total alerts on various cameras that were deployed to. Really, as I came into frame there, we got a detection. I'm gonna go ahead and start dispatching through these. I'll kind of try to call attention to like various parts of our analytics I think are interesting. We custom build all of these data sets here with Zero Eyes. We don't use any third-party data, so nothing that's web scraped from the internet. It's all done here. One of the things that we like to do, we throw what we call negative objects in the background. Those are there to trip up the algorithm. We're trying to show you accuracy. So as I'm sort of walking through the background there, we're getting really high confidence pistol detections. Obviously, pistols are a smaller framed object. So from an accuracy standpoint, anything larger than a pistol, we're also very good at. So rifle, shotgun, that kind of stuff. I'm showing you just kind of interesting kind of carry configurations that I'm doing. I'm holding the gun in various ways. Again, just really good noisy environment detections that we typically get. And yeah, so I'm through all these. Now on the customer side, you can basically see the breadcrumb trail that I walked. These dark blue icons are active alerts in the queue. That bouncing white icons are last known position or most recent geolocation. In the first minute, those pin drops would have been bright red, but a countdown timer has turned them dark blue. We're trying to show you basically a heat map or like a breadcrumb trail. And then you can go back in time and take a closer look at these. All of these images are stored in like a chain of custody file as well from a law enforcement investigation perspective. And then if you look over here on the left side of the platform, this is really the integrations that we can do. This is just a small sample of them in our demo environment. So like I said, we can integrate to anything that can ingest an API. We can push to anything essentially. Our goal is to provide really good situational awareness detections really quickly. I'm trying to think if I missed anything. I don't think so. If we have time, I can pick up a rifle or a shotgun, but it's a larger object. We get similar detections.
Hey, Kieran, as much as I genuinely want to, we have another, we're 15 minutes after the hour now, so we have to call it good on this one and allow for the next presenter to come in. I will very happily field any questions, concerns, thoughts, and direct them to you and the rest of your folks. You see Kieran dropped his email in the chat, so feel free to reach out to him or myself directly. But thank you so very much, Kieran, for being here. This is one of the coolest solutions in the world.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Kieran. If you can stop sharing for us. There we go. Perfect. All right, guys, moving right along. We should have Stan on the line. Stan, I see you there from Vitals. How are you, sir?
Great. How about you? Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you just fine, sir. I appreciate you being here. And again, as you can see, we're running a super tight ship here. So I apologize for running a minute late here, but the floor is yours, sir.
Can I share screen? Can I take?
Yeah, should be at the bottom of your screen.
Okay, I feel like I'm okay. I'm gonna go really quick, share some information with you, and maybe take some questions at the end. So this is Vitals Aware Services. We're the creators of the Vitals app. My name is Stan Allen. I'm head of communications and do a lot of partnership development with the company. So we are a company that really focuses on helping public safety, first responders, people in 911 services, communicate, interact more effectively with people who have disabilities, special situations, medical things that make them vulnerable. And and on the other side is we really focus in on individuals and families who sometimes could be vulnerable if they're in an emergency situation. Because they can't communicate for themselves, we help them communicate. For this presentation, I want to talk about the different tiers of our service. For this presentation, we talk about the 911 centers and emergency responders. And I said before, we do provide critical information in real time that typically you don't have. And so we feel like the more information that we can give, the more we can help people who are in a pinch, who are working on crisis. I don't need to go through all these numbers with you guys. You probably know them better than me, but we have a lot of adults that will go through some type of mental health crisis in their life. And then when you factor in the number of calls that have some type of mental health crisis involved, it's pretty staggering. The numbers are staggering. So anything we can do to help in those situations, that's what we're all about. With Vitals. I'm gonna pass over this video right now because I feel like time is an issue, but and I'll show you a video at the end. But this young man, he has Asperger's, and he was one of our first individuals to get involved. He was injured one time. He was out with some friends, out and about, and first responders responded, and they were trying to disperse the crowd, and he didn't understand how to obey any of the commands, and so they thought he was being difficult, and so he was taken down. So that happened again about a year later in our metro transit system. He was taken down, and then he was tased multiple times. So it was pretty tragic, and it was just a lack of information on how to respond to him. When we found out about it, we got him in the test group, and the way it worked, this was early on in St. Paul, Minnesota. There was an altercation in a school building. The first responders responded. This time they had Vitals downloaded on their smartphones. Before they approached them, they had all the information to help Marcus be okay. So that was a success story. I'll show you another one at the end if I have time. So we're talking about making split-second decisions with no time, when you don't have time to like really think through things. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get something off of my screen that's blocking. I hope it's not blocking the line of sight for you guys. It's the chat. But split-second decisions in a situation where you really need the information to make good decisions at your disposal. Hold on, folks.
It's not blocking it for us.
Oh, okay, great. And now it's not letting me go forward because it's blocking it for me for some reason. Interesting. Technology, huh? I can't get this off of my screen.
Stan, if you want to give a shot to unshare your screen and then reshare it and see if that changes for you. Yeah, like Daryl said, we aren't seeing anything except for your presentation, so we're good there. But
that worked. And now I'll see if I can share it again. Are you seeing my screen?
Not yet, sir.
Yeah, now it's not allowing me to do it at all.
Okay. On the fly, if you're able to, can you shoot me the presentation via email? And
Sure. Let me try one more thing.
Yep.
Let me try one more thing, and I think maybe this will work.
we're
We can
seeing
see
your
your
screen.
desktop.
Yep, see the desktop.
We're getting there. I'm not sure why that's not working. So you're seeing my desktop. I'm trying to get to my presentation. It's not letting me open it. I don't know why, but it works. Can you see that?
Yes, we can.
Okay, let's keep moving. Sorry, guys. So critical information in a timely fashion. We know that training doesn't solve all the problems. So what Vitals does, it bridges the information gap between a first responder or a 911 individual, where now they have information that they didn't have before. I'm going to go quickly. So how does it work? We use Bluetooth technology where, an individual downloads our technology on their smartphone, or a family member, a caregiver, and at the same time, a first responder or has the information. And for this presentation, 911 already has it. Emergency communication centers already have it. And so what happens is in this situation, when somebody's either in danger or escalated, what happens is when they come within first 80 feet of a first responder that has our technology, we're in a Bluetooth beacon. It transmits a signal that's secured to our cloud server, which brings the information down on a first responder's smartphone. We think that's great technology. For this situation that we're talking about, it does something similar. When somebody has a heart attack or somebody is under duress and 911 is called on that person, that person is connected to that person's account. Now the information will be at the ready for a dispatcher. So this is what I was talking about before. This is an image of it, how it happens. The information is there, and then once you come out of that 80 feet, that information goes away. That's how our technology works. We allow people to create profiles that they can put things on that they think will help them when they're under stress. Things like a photo, a description of themselves, primary, secondary medical conditions or mental health conditions, critical informations that they think would assist them, de-escalation techniques, behavior triggers, things. If you're on meds, you can list those there. And then when all else fails, emergency contact information. Can you contact this person to help me when I'm under stress? And this, we also allow people to create media files. And so sometimes when somebody can't communicate for themselves, we have a loved one that's communicating with them on a scene. And so in this scenario, a first responder can show this to somebody under duress. So in this case, Caleb has autism. He escalated. A first responder's thought about everything they can do, and now they can bring mom to the scene by clicking on that information.
Hey, babe, the people that are with you are keeping you safe, and I know you're scared, but mommy will see you as soon as she can. You're fine. Love you, bud. Bye.
So the three tiers of what we're providing right now, we have Profile 911. That is the service that anyone that is living in an area where they have RapidSOS will have access to our services. They sign up for this service, and they're protected on the end. If 911 is called, Now the dispatcher has information at the ready to help that person. The information is customized according to the person to give them really specific information to help them when they're in a pinch. Profile Plus is that same 911 system that's in place, but in select cities, we also have a situation where I talked earlier, where a first responder, law enforcement, fire, EMTs, they have access to our technology. In this scenario, if the dispatcher has access to information, and now the first responder who is approaching the person, they have access to that information once they come within 80 feet. And then Plus Places is these first tier services, plus wandering alerts. We have people who wander. You might have dementia. You might have others that they just tend to wander away. You can create this thing called a geofence around this person, and when they go into an unsafe space, it notifies them, the person that's taking care of them. So those are the 3 tiers. I won't talk about pricing that much, but according to what you need, those are the different tiers. And then I'm going to end with this. This is a video that I think captures.
Anyone, when they're first told that their child has a disability, they immediately go, okay, they're with us for life. Our goal has always been, let her be as independent as feasible, but yet keep a little control there.
I learned slower. It's harder for me to understand different cues and that normal people would.
Most people wouldn't recognize that she's got a disorder, but multiple step directions are extremely hard. She's getting to a stage where she's adventurous enough that she's driving.
It's a good state of mind for us, for her to venture out.
This is a good one. This is 190th. Our crash was here, and Caitlin lives right here. We had the road shut down for a few miles in each direction to give us a buffer to work.
I saw a lot of lights. I saw the 2 vehicles. Got a little nervous.
When she called, I said, well, where are you? She's like, well, they told me to turn around. And I was like, oh, Lord, she is scared.
The Hastings Reserves officers thought her behavior was a little erratic, and he thought maybe she was impaired in some manner.
I was literally starting to be bawling my eyes out because I didn't know what to do.
As I pulled up in front of her car, my phone dinged in my squad car, and I noticed the Vitals app had popped up. I was able to use that to approach her and address her by name. I told her she's in a safe place and we would help her get home.
I've been doing this a long time, so that was, to me, a success story. If they can serve people like Caitlin to the best of their abilities with the help of technology, then I think it's a win.
She learned that the officers are out there to help her. The first thing we asked her when she walked in the door was, if you had to pay for this out of your money, would you get it? And she was like, definitely, because I wouldn't want to go through this without it. Vitals app allows you to feel a little bit of security. You can sleep at night.
She don't need mom and dad to
take her
everywhere. She can do this and not rely completely on us.
So I think that allows us to kind of, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, and I can take questions from the crowd. I know I apologize for the technical issues at the beginning, but hopefully you get the gist of what we're all about. Any questions?
Stan, I will lead off very quickly and just advise that Vitals is one of our partners that operates in a couple of different capacities, like Stan said. I've seen them partner with a police department, fire and EMS services directly. I believe in Fort Collins, Colorado, they have a partnership, and they partner with individuals with disabilities or invisible conditions. But also partnering with the 911 center in that anybody with that profile, that Vitals profile, and their associated phone number dials 911, you will see that information in the RapidSOS portal. So at the very least, if somebody with an associated phone number to a Vitals app and Vitals profile dials 911, you will be made aware at a dispatch level from regarding any invisible conditions or potential causes for concern. So yet again, you're going to hear it from me until I'm blue in the face. This is a reason to have the RapidSOS portal up and operational at your 911 center so that you can be aware of potential life-saving information at your fingertips.
Absolutely. I think we're excited about different ways of using the service, and it's all about empowering. It's all about being proactive and helping people have information that they really need in a pinch.
Awesome, Stan. Any outstanding questions for Stan?
This is Daryl. Not really a question, just a quick comment. I know that trying to find ways to get better outcomes for people with invisible conditions, like the ones that you talked about today, Stan, is something that's very much a high-profile topic right now at the state level through the Colorado Department of Justice and Department of Public Safety. So it's very pertinent to the conversations that are happening right now.
Yes, we have been part of some of those conversations. We know that it's not the only answer, but when you have lots of people trying to figure out these issues, having additional information can only help. It can only help.
Sorry, I was talking with my mute button on, Stan. I completely agree with what you're saying, with what Daryl said. It's a hot topic for sure, and for a good reason. So we appreciate what you are doing and how you've made your solution available to the masses through RapidSOS. If there are no further questions, and I'm also happy again to connect you with Stan or anyone from the Vitals team after the fact, please get a hold of myself and I will put you in touch. But if there's nothing else for Stan, we appreciate you coming, sir.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thanks, Stan.
Yeah, bye.
Okay, folks, we are 2 minutes ahead of schedule, and that's a huge victory for me. I will say, I know we don't have any breaks built in, but if you want 2 super quick minutes, we'll break for a second while we wait for a super awesome partner. Is yours? Are you on the line, sir?
Yes, I am on the line.
All right,
but I can take the 2-minute break. No worries.
All right, let's take a 2-minute break, and when we come back, Siors, who is not in our time zone, we'll talk about their super awesome solution. So I got 34 after. Let's do 36 after. All right, folks, I'm back from our 2-minute break. I hope you're still with us and watching and learning. We are entering the portion of the presentation today where we are out of the data partners portion, where you can expect to see this information day to day and zero cost inside the portal. We're moving along to some of our partner network partners, of which SURES and Public Sonar are the first to talk about their solution. Again, the difference between the two, between data partners and partner network, is with these solutions that we're going to be talking about, these are items that you as an ECC or a police department can purchase to supplement your operations, either from a dispatch perspective, real-time crime center, or patrol perspective. But these are solutions that can be purchased and enabled inside of RapidSOS for your use. So without further ado, I will pass it off to SURES. SURES, how are you, sir?
Yes, I'm doing fine. Thank you very much. And it's a pleasure being in this call. I have to say you're doing a great job in pronouncing my name, because I am from the Netherlands. My name is George van den Dries, but please call me George, because I understand it's a terrible name in English. I'm the CEO of Public Sonar, and Public Sonar is a social media intelligence company from the Netherlands. Yeah, and as mentioned, I'm pleased to have the opportunity to speak to all of you here today. Because after 10 years of doing business here in Europe, where we are serving the Dutch National Police, many UK police forces and German police forces, we're really proud of being a partner of RapidSOS, because this gives us the opportunity to also make a move to the US to really help you get actionable insights from open data. And I do want to mention that over here, it's now almost 7:45. That is not really special, but it is the time that my son, my 2-year-old son, will be brought to bed. So if you hear some screaming in the background, that is normal over here around this time, and please don't call the cops. That will be strange. Hey, but back to business. We only have 20 minutes. I think all of you know that social media is big. In the US, over 70% of all the adults are using social media, and many use it also to report high-risk situations. You will probably recognize all the bystanders during incidents that are recording, people that are posting for school shootings ahead of time, that they announce things. So a lot of interesting things for safety and security are shared online, but it's pretty hard to really get your fingertips off it. What I would like to do first, before I continue, is start sharing my screen. Sam, do I have the rights to do that? I think I have.
Yes, sir. We are about to see your screen. We got it, sir.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Yes, I'm good to go.
Correct, sir. Yes, sir.
So I want to start off with an example of how social media really helped change the course of an incident. And what you see here, I assume you cannot read it. And why is that? Because this is German. And I do want to give this example because it's a great real-life example of how Public Sonar really changed the course of an incident, not only as an early warning mechanism, but also for getting situational awareness. And what you're seeing here in the screen is a terrorist attack that was happening in Vienna. And what was remarkable to see, that the first alerts were not by people calling, because you hear bangs, are you immediately calling the cops? No, it was on social media, or people were saying, hey, we're hearing shots in a certain neighborhood. So it was really a first mechanism, and it saved them 1 or 2 minutes before people were really calling, that they already know that there was probably a terrorist attack going on, and they also had the location of that. Well, other things that you can see in this slide is that really soon people were starting to broadcast live where the perpetrator was going, what type of weapon he had, how he was dressed. So it gave them a lot of information on what type of police forces to send and how to, in the end, eliminate the risk of this terrorist attack. Unfortunately, people did die, but they did mention that because of Public Sonar, they were faster and better equipped to solve such a situation. This is just an example. Also in the US, there are many. Recently, you all know the terrible incidents around the Travis Scott concert, where on social media already an hour before it was going on, you could see that a lot of people without tickets were getting in, and it was way too crowded. Signals that you potentially could have picked up and changed the course of an incident. So what are we doing? Using social media is something that we recommend to everyone that is responsible for safety and security. However, it is pretty tough to do. And why is that? Because a lot of messages in the end are not directed to you. people know how to post things online, but even if it's valuable information, it doesn't mean that they post it towards an ECC. And that's really where we come in. So what we do is we pick up thousands or hundreds of thousands of social media messages online. We analyze them in real time and present them in a way that's really usable for you guys. So Public Sonar Social Media Intelligence in the end is an online monitoring solution for incident and crisis management. And it's really specifically designed to extract real-time information from social media and other sources. To give you an example of how it looks like, this is an example of Las Vegas. So what we've done there is, and probably you recognize the RapidSOS solution, it is really simple. What we can do for you is draw an area around the ECC that you are responsible for and collect all the messages both by geo, so if people are sharing their location, but also by terms. So all the postal codes, street names, point of interest, everything that has something to do with your area, we will collect it. And of course, afterwards, you don't want to be overloaded with information. So we're not going to show you if somebody is eating a sandwich or saying something about their favorite television show. But as soon as it has something to do with a topic that might affect you, we will post it on the RapidSOS portal in real time, so you know what's going on and where. And it's really simple what you can see here. It looks like this. So we have 5 different topics. I will address that in a bit. And all those topics are included in the package when you work together with Public Sonar. And that means that if you want to know something about natural disaster or public safety or mobility, we will make sure that those type of messages will end up on within RapidSOS in real time. That's really the first thing. The great thing is that all the programming is done by us. So we have a data expert team that is constantly checking and monitoring if the data that you receive is valuable. And if not, we will do the changes. And that makes it FTE neutral for you to use. So see it as an additional data source to, in the end, make better decisions. Besides the map-based solution that we have, it is a combined package where we will also create a specialized dashboard that we create especially for you. This is an example of what could be going on in the area of Colorado. And what you see here is that we are collecting from all types of social media. So Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook, all types of sources that you can connect. And on the left side, you can see that here we are grouping the messages per topic. We can even filter out the sentiment in your area if you like that. And all the messages that are potentially relevant, you can see over here. I have to say I was looking this morning because this is something that was picked up this morning. It had a lot of messages around traffic that might be potentially interesting, but especially during hurricane seasons or if there's a big event and gatherings, that's really when we excel because a lot of data will be brought to only a handful of valuable messages on what's really going on the streets. If I continue, the type of use cases that we are specialized in are these 5, and all these 5 will be included in RapidSOS. That means if you want to know everything about mobility or vital infrastructure, and that one is really key. The recent hurricane that hit the US, there were a lot of power outages, but also a lot of ECCs that were unavailable. And if something like that is going on, you still want to know where the need is really helped. And Public Sonar can help you with that because online, a lot of people are indicating if they need help or where things are going on. Crowd control is, of course, a topic that is relevant. Think about Travis Scott in the event, natural disasters, but also public safety. So terrorism, mass shooting, school shooting, or first response violence. Those type of situations can be key to have the best information at your fingertips. So again, going back to an example, what I want to show you is also a live dashboard that we created. And this is live. That also means that we are a bit dependent on what's going on in your area right now. But what you see, and I think these are the Dutch time zones, so sorry for that, but this is the type of information that you can find. It is about situations that happened currently, mostly accidents. But one of the pictures that I saw really recently is something like this. And you can imagine if somebody is calling an ECC to explain that there is a situation on the road, it's really difficult to grasp what's going on. But a picture like this that is sent within minutes will really give you insights on how to act better. Again, this is just an example of how something like this could work for you. This is all clickable. So if you want to know everything about, let's say, mobility, just click on that. You will get the mobility messages. If you're only interested in public safety, you will get everything from the police, victims, survivors, etc. We're always constantly checking sentiment, because sentiment might change the way you need to act. If there is a big group outside and people are going from angry to hateful, that is really the moment when a group can turn into a mob. And that is something that you want to prevent. So back to my presentation. This is really how it looks. How it works, it is pretty simple. We try to capture vital information for all social media sources. With our AI mechanisms, we cut through the noise and only present you the messages that have something to do with the topics you find relevant. It saves time and resources because you don't need to do the installation, and we will do that. And we will also keep it up to date and make sure that we make it better every day. And last, but certainly not least, we have a full approval by all the sources, but it's also in line with all the relevant local laws and regulations. So that means looking at public sonar is done in a compliant way. And especially for you guys, that is something that is really key. That is really what I wanted to discuss in this first 10 minutes. So we also have some time for a Q&A. What I do want to point out in this group, and we just sent that out in the newsletter as well, that we are currently also offering free trials. So if you're interested and want to explore this, make sure to reach out. You will get a 30-day free trial without any commitments from your side. So if you just want to explore and want to know what's going on, feel free to reach out. So that's really what I wanted to discuss. Are there any questions? And I will stop sharing my screen for that.
Prior to any questions, if they do pop up, I can genuinely say I've had the opportunity to play with public sonar. And one thing I noticed, yours, is that it gets better the longer you have it. The more you're able to customize your content and essentially map out what you want to see, it gets more relevant for you and for your agency. So I've had a blast with it. I really enjoy it. And that being said, I will open it up to questions for yours or regarding public sonar.
Cool.
Okay. As always, I will share contact information. Actually, I've been asked to share contact information and websites of all the presenters today, but I will also be happy to field any questions and facilitate introductions with Shores and the Public Sonar team, should that be asked of me. But thank you so very much, Shores, for being here. We really appreciate it.
Yes, no worries. And guys, thank you very much for your attention. If any questions pop up, feel free to reach out. Love to hear from you guys, and have a great session.
Yes, sir. You have a good night. Get to sleep.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, bye-bye.
Right. Thank you so much. All right, guys, running right on time. I've got 49 after the hour, and at 50 minutes, my good friend Mike from Prepared is going to talk about their solution. I'm very confident many of you have spoken to Prepared already, which is awesome. And I do understand Mike has a special guest as well. So without further ado, Mike, sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sam. Really appreciate that. I do have a special guest, Kimberly Culp, CEO of Larimer Emergency Telephone Authority. Lita will be joining me in the last half of the presentation here to share her perspective and use, as well as benefits of using the platform. But thank you all for your time this afternoon. Thank you, Sam, for coordinating and let me jump on here. I'm going to go through a couple brief slides and then give a demonstration. And then we'll hand it over to Kimberly. So I'm going to go ahead and start my slideshow. Sharing screen here. There we are. So we are prepared. We provide the ability for PSAPs, ECCs, to receive information, supplemental information from their callers. That information includes caller text, caller live stream video, caller photos, caller supplemental location, all of that available to the PSAPs or ECCs at no charge. And that's from mobile devices that they receive. Our platform provides the ability to gain additional information from your callers for improved situational awareness. It allows you to make advanced decisions based upon the information you're receiving. As NextGen has been in the works for the last 10, 20 years with the definition of networks and providing additional supplemental information, that information is here today with the ability to receive this additional information into your PSAP or ECC. As part of the platform, through a connection with RapidSOS, we provide the ability for you to receive this information through a quick implementation with training included and no additional need for additional equipment. So with that, I'm going to jump right into a demo, starting directly from the RapidSOS portal. You can see here I've got the portal running with some demo calls coming in. You can see I've selected the call here. All I have to do is with a single click the Prepared live stream link. It automatically opens up the Prepared Live tab and logs you in with a single sign-on from RapidSOS and enters the phone number that you've selected from your RapidSOS portal. So it couldn't be more simple than just launching directly from RapidSOS and then creating an incident. We have the ability to enter the information for the caller manually as well. Because this is a demo phone number, I'm going to go ahead and enter my own. When I enter my phone number, I'm as a telecommunicator, what I'm showing you on the screen is the view that shows that the incident has been created. And on my device, you can see that I've received a text message indicating that I can interact with the telecommunicator. When the telecommunicator selects the link, you can see that the caller is, when the caller selects the link, the telecommunicator can see that there's access to that link available. They can do things like request additional supplemental location information with breadcrumbing. And when the caller selects the play button, it provides the telecommunicator the ability to see what's happening directly from the caller. So with nothing more than launching the call directly from the RapidSOS portal with a single click and pressing the enter key, we've now initiated a video call directly with the telecommunicator from the caller themselves. Here you can see it's a blustery day in Michigan out the picture window. The telecommunicator has a number of options for features and functions they can perform. From the display here, you can see that they can continue to chat and text back and forth. I'll note that there is no requirement for video in order to text with the caller. That can occur without sharing video. But the telecommunicator can do things like take a snapshot. They can flip the display or flip the camera from the back-facing camera to the front-facing camera to gather additional information about the scene. Take a snapshot of that as well. Flip it back again, providing the ability to gain additional awareness and understanding of what the caller is calling about and the information that can be provided to help assist in sharing with the field responders information about the incident. I'm going to go ahead and stop that for a moment. As you can imagine, switch back to our slides. This provides a lot of additional information with some powerful use cases that I know Kimberly will probably highlight a couple that she's experienced with her ECC's PSAPs later on. But the use case allows your telecommunicators to better gain additional information about the scene of the incident. Let's say, for instance, you've got a fire and a caller indicates that the fire is massive, as they also often will, because they're inexperienced in classifying and describing a fire. Now your telecommunicators have the ability to receive a video of that fire so they can better describe or extend that information out to the field responders so that they can provide a proper response for the incident based upon the information that's been collected through photos and video. I'm going to switch back really quick because video can be scary. We understand that it's new technology. The telecommunicators haven't seen it previously. So when I am a telecommunicator, I have the ability with Prepared Live to do something that will make sure to keep our telecommunicators protected from information they don't want to receive. So let's say, for instance, I'm live streaming again, and we've got, let's see, where is she? A vicious animal here, happens to be Maggie, my dog, that we want to take a picture of. We take a snapshot, but something happens and something changes in the display when what's been presented to the telecommunicator. They have the ability to protect them from what they may or may not want to see, the ability to blur the video and unblur the video in order to continue to receive the video, but protect them from the visibility of the video if it's an incident type that they do not have interest in viewing. Keep in mind, all of this video then is recorded in an unblurred state. So we have the ability to perform that as well. We are currently operational in more than 15 PSAPs, ECCs in the state of Colorado and multiple hundreds in the United States, in over 44 states. And we're providing this information to those telecommunicators through the implementation in their PSAPs, ECCs, at no charge. All functionality you've seen here has been free to the PSAPs. We do have the additional capability to send this information to field responders. That functionality is an enhanced functionality that is a paid functionality and in use in a couple of centers across the United States. One of those is LIDA, and Kimberly Culp is on the call here to provide more information about how they've found Prepared Live useful and the kinds of incidents that they've used this in their PSAPs across the LIDA service area. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Kimberly, who can provide some additional context, and then I think we've got Q&A at the end.
Great, thank you, Mike. So we do have it deployed, and we've had it deployed for several months. So I just wanted to walk through a couple of pieces, and you should be able to see my screen. So Mike, if you can just give me a nod if you are, thank you so much. So use cases to date have been pretty significant and surprising. So when we deployed video, I wasn't quite sure what we were going to get. Through conversations with our 5 PSAPs, we decided that this was the next step we were going to take. And we just started thinking about all the different use cases. And as you sit around and whiteboard and brainstorm, it just continued to grow and grow. So what I'm showing you right now is a screenshot of some pre-canned messages that have been built in the system. And these pre-canned messages are mainly being used from the Fort Collins 911 PSAP up here in Larimer County. And what they have noticed is they get a lot of questions from callers about how do I file this, or I need to do a cold report, or how do I look up this information? Most of those calls are coming in either on a non-emergent number or even sometimes on 911. So they created these pre-canned messages that they're able to push out that information to the caller in order to give them that. It's information, it gets them off the phone, freed up to be able to take additional calls. And then the citizen is now ready to look up and file a complaint on their own without having to call dispatch back. We've also used it for police activity, burglaries in progress, shoplifting in progress, suicidal threats, missing persons, and I'll show you a couple of those cases. So 911 hangups is common and used by all the dispatch centers up here. And instead of phoning them back, they have added this to their policy to just do an outbound text through the Prepared app and just make sure that everyone is okay when they dialed 911. What's amazing is we're getting responses. So I don't know about your centers, but when you call 911 and you call them back to do that abandoned phone call, they don't always answer. And in the text world, we tend to get more replies of, hey, I'm okay, it was an accidental dial. Or in some situations, yes, I was trying to reach you and we need help. And then we start that text dialogue back and forth. This is a case of a missing person. So in this particular case, we were contacted by family members for this missing person, and we started a conversation via the text with the caller and asked for a photo of their father, and they sent that over to us. We were able to send the photo out to the field to the search and rescue team that were looking for this person, and then we were able to follow up and close out the case when he was safely located. So a lot of success in this area as well. This is a robbery that just occurred. So the call came in on voice 911, but they were pulling up videos and security footage. So they were able to send that over, and we conferenced it and sent all this information out to the field for the responding units. So they would have the real photo of the person that came into this area. And then they kept the contact going with the caller and giving them assurances while they were taking other calls. So they had already disconnected and they were doing a canvas in the area, and they were able just to keep that live chat going with the caller. So Mike had mentioned our fire. So this was one of our first cases, and Mike and I were actually on the phone talking when this case came in, and it was just fascinating to watch it all unfold. But in a remote area between northern Colorado, Wellington, so north of the Wellington, if you're familiar with this particular area, up to the state line, pretty rural. And somebody dialed 911, reported a fire, and the dispatchers initiated a link with them to get additional information and started to text back and forth, and they asked them to send a live video of the fire. So I'm gonna play this video. So this is what came into dispatch, was the video of the fire. So they were able to see what was on fire. They were able to see the fuels in the area, conference in and send all this information out to the responding units, and even from the command staff that was in the office. So they would be able to take a look and see if they needed to start air support right away. So as many of you are aware, we have fires up here in northern Colorado, and so you can never be too fast on knowing what is going on, what the threat looks like, and how the fire is unfolding. So they were able to do this even before they had anybody on scene doing a size up. This was an extended ETA for them to get on scene. So by having this video real time, they were able to make determinations if they were going to need air support or if they could stand down and just send up some brush trucks to the area. We've also implemented training with Prepared, and this is something that we did with text to 911. We did that with our school plans when we put our school plans in all of our imagery in our CAD system. And now that we're live with the live video, when one of our agencies did an active shooter drill with all of their officers and did a joint response, we asked them, hey, would you guys consider doing Prepared? And they was already in their plan, was to fold this in and what it would look like to do a live video during a drill. So I'm going to actually drag over a different video. This is downloaded from the Prepared. So in the system, you're able to download your videos and your photos. Mike, are you able to see the new video screen? Okay, so this is from a training drill that they wanted to see what this would fold and look like from a field perspective, from dispatch, from the incident command, if you have people taking shelter inside during an active shooting drill. And so this was streaming real time to everybody as the officers were going in and searching and looking for their simulated shooter and clearing the school. So this was great intel, and it was fantastic to be able to just role play and figure out what and how we would use video in these different situations. And I'm going to fast forward the video of them going out and being able to see what was going inside the building while they were staged outside and how they were walking the students out. All right, so from a big picture perspective, we took a look at what the cases were. So we didn't know what we were going to get when we started the video deployment. We thought maybe it would be something like our text deployment, which we went live with text in 2014, and we don't average thousands a month, we average hundreds a month. So we weren't sure what it was going to be like with the video. And with the video, this is our use cases to date. So we went live in July, and it was a soft launch. We went live, we were using the system, and then we did a large public launch after that. But you can see from our cases that they're using it, and they're using it often, and they truly have found a ton of value in adding video as an option into various cases, whether it's the police situations, shoplifter, missing persons, suicidal threats, or for these fires or search and rescue. So fantastic experience for dispatch. And for us, it was just really weighing out what was the right vendor and what was the right path for us to take. And so we've been very slow and concise about folding this technology into our deployment up here with our 5 911 centers. And we've been very pleased that we've took these steps to move forward and add this amazing technology. So Mike, I'll turn it back over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly. Appreciate that. And Sam, we'll re-engage you for Q&A.
Yeah, absolutely. Both to Kimberly and to Mike, thank you guys so very much for joining, sharing the use cases. That was pretty impactful. You know, RapidSOS being the common operating system that you can launch some of these solutions with. I was thinking during your presentation, imagine having prepared and live video and texting back and forth, plus, you know, public sonar and doing social media insight and any other of these solutions together in one common operating picture is super awesome. But that being said, questions, concerns, or comments to Mike and Kimberly? Can't have live video on a presentation and not get comments and concerns.
I'm surprised.
Sam, I'll throw one out there. Mike and Kimberly, do you guys have and are you willing to share use cases, procedures, canned messages, those sorts of things that Mike, you've collected from across the country? Kimberly, you've collected, I mean, you guys have done a ton already in the short amount of time. Are these things that you're willing to share with other agencies in Colorado so they're not reinventing the wheel, spawning ideas, that sort of thing, so they could implement maybe a little easier with all of your hard work behind it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do collect feedback from the PSAPs across the nation that we work with, and each state is a little bit different, just like each PSAP is a bit different. And we've collected that into a standard sample procedure that we share with all PSAPs as part of the onboarding process, even before onboarding, so that they can understand, you know, how they might use it. And I'd go a step further and say that because this functionality is new, now texting may or may not be new, and texting is a core feature of the platform, but collecting multimedia is new, collecting live stream is new, and the samples that we've gotten back and the feedback that we've received from the majority of the PSAPs throughout the US has been, you know, start small, start with a procedure that includes a finite list of use cases, a finite list of call types that might be more easily understood and deployed by telecommunicators. And then that's been documented and can be provided, absolutely. And then probably a lot like Lita, the PSAPs find that it's useful in those quote unquote simpler use cases, and they start to expand on their own or build, you know, procedures around more advanced incident types and calls. And I'll hand it over to Kimberly for a Colorado specific answer as well.
Thanks, Mike and Bruce. Of course, I mean, we're happy to share our policies and all of the messages that we've already created, all the canned messages. So happy to share that with any agency that is looking at video or even outbound texting, and they would like to take a look at that. So not a problem.
Awesome. Kimberly, I knew what your answer was going to be because you've always been willing to help across the state, but I thought I'd throw it out there just to make sure everybody knew.
Again, as always, should you want access to policies, use cases, so on and so forth, or contact if you haven't had it with Mike or his counterpart in the Rocky Mountain region, get a hold of me. I'm happy to facilitate an intro and or collect and gather those policies for you guys. Last chance for questions, folks, for the prepared team.
No question here, but a comment. We rolled out Prepared out here at Washington, Yuma. Pushed up training to all staff like a couple of weeks ago, and it is so freaking cool. Not just you know, just to put that out there, you know, Fort Collins, you're a lot bigger than we are, but it's a fantastic tool for super rural out here too. So if you're on the fence, just jump.
Awesome, Ryan. Thanks so very much.
Yeah, thank you for that feedback.
Mandy says she's rolling it out at Westco as well. Awesome to hear. All right, folks. I guess we will take a maybe 3-minute break in time to chat with some folks at 12:15. Again, if you have any questions or you need an introduction, get a hold of me after the fact, and I'll put you in touch with Mike or Kimberly. Thank you guys so very much for joining and sharing Prepared with us.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, everyone. A special thanks to Kimberly for her participation and direct experience. Really appreciate that, Kimberly. Thank you all.
Thanks, Mike. Bye. Hey, and a point I wanted to drive home a little bit is that, you know, with all of these different solutions, some of them may be perfect for your ECC. Some of them may be exactly what you're looking at or looking for. Some of them may be of absolute no importance to you at this moment in time. But the common theme we have here is that the problem we're trying to solve in 911 is the ability to utilize some of the solutions that you need or have or want today without having to reinvent the wheel, without having a separate logon, without having a separate user interface that you need to grasp or to roll out training to your folks. The ability to roll it directly into RapidSOS and a single sign-on capability, and for us to be that single pane of glass, especially if you're already using the portal today, is the problem that we're trying to solve, is to simplify things for you. And you'll find that with every solution that we present to you today. There's some really cool ones that we've talked about already and some really cool ones coming up. But we've got 3 minutes if you want to do a bio break, and back at 15 after the hour to talk with Mike and Dennis from CRG. Mike and or Dennis from CRG. All right, folks, welcome back. I got 15 after the hour. Hope you're able to grab a drink or use the restroom. I will, before we get started with the next one, I just wanted to make sure you are all aware that in addition to presenting all these folks today and showing you the different solutions, every solution that we provide through the RapidSOS portal has the corresponding training guide or informational blurb inside the RapidSOS portal. So again, if it's something you want to learn more about, all that information is directly inside the RapidSOS portal. I'd be remiss if I didn't also plug our training portal as well. So if you log into the RapidSOS portal, top right-hand corner, there's a hamburger-shaped menu. That's not really a hamburger, but there's a section called training that has a literal plethora of training information about all the different data sources, how you can expect to use them. We also have sample policies in there as well. I'm so sorry, Leslie. I'm only sharing your thunder because I wasn't sure if we're going to have time since we're so back to back. And if we do have time, I'll give the floor over to you. Thank you. Mike and or Dennis from CRG, are you on the line?
Yes, sir, right here.
Hey, Mike, thanks for joining. Dennis, thanks for joining.
Hi, Sam.
I will hand the floor over to you guys.
Great, thank you. Do I have the ability to share my screen?
You should. Green button on the bottom says share screen,
Yes, sir.
one person at a time.
Yep, got it. And then how long do you want me to speak for, sir? Sam, do you have a left and right limits from a time perspective?
I am muted, so you didn't hear me respond. I apologize about that. Our next presenter begins at 12:40, so you've got 25 minutes.
Perfect time, thank you. Okay. Can you see my screen, sir?
Affirmative, sir.
Okay, great. Well, everybody, I'll get right to it. I appreciate the opportunity today. Thank you for RapidSOS for the opportunity. Great partners of ours for the last couple of years, and excited to show you what it is that we do in partnership with RapidSOS. On the call also with me from my team is Dennis Sims. Dennis's background comes out of the public safety world, so career law enforcement. Dennis represents really 1/3 of our team. So coming out of public safety, we have a very operationally built company where we understand the problem sets that we're trying to solve because the individuals that work at the company come out of the communities we're trying to help. My background, a little bit different than Dennis. I come out of the military, but before that, my father is actually a 5th generation police officer. So that's what the family's done for 130 years. I'm the first one not to do that. So post 9/11, decided I want to go to the military, started at West Point, and then from West Point, found my way into U.S. Army Special Operations. It was while serving that community, I was introduced to a very specific mapping technique. 2016, left that community, came home and wanted to take what I had learned overseas and apply it domestically. That is what gave birth to the company. We are an indoor mapping company that the intent is to build the most accurate, reliable indoor mapping files possible, and then make them accessible to all disciplines within public safety to enable clear, concise communication and navigation during a critical incident. Where the technique comes from, that I'll talk about today, comes out of the war on terrorism. So around 2005, 2006, military special operations was tasked with increasing our ability to conduct night operations. As we really started to study that problem set, we realized one of our primary issues is that every night as we were out conducting missions, we were most likely going to locations that we had never been to before. Because it was our first time at a location, it made it difficult to plan, communicate, and navigate as a team. So military special operations, trying to solve that problem, came up with a very simple mapping technique that's highlighted in the center of the slide. You'll see it kind of looks like a game of Battleship. It's called a gridded reference graphics, but very simply, it's letters across the top, numbers to the left-hand side. Every building is labeled, every intersection is labeled. Around 2007, 2008, military special operations made that mandatory. And in order to plan and execute a high special operations mission, we had to have one of these graphics created. This technique became mandatory around that 2008 timeframe. It's been planned to use every single mission from then until today. I show pictures on the outside of the slide from the Bin Laden operation, because in my opinion, they validate the use of the technique. If you think about SEAL Team 6, you think about the President of the United States, all the technology that we brought to bear as a country to plan and execute the Bin Laden operation. This is how we did it from a planning perspective because it works. This is how they created a common operating picture that night, from the operational element to the command and control element. Well, myself, 1/3 of our team, we came out of this community. We knew this mapping technique to be best practice, but as we came home, that technique did not exist. What exists across the country, no different than in the county that you're from, are emergency action plans that today look like the binder on the left-hand side. I guarantee every school, every hospital, any piece of critical infrastructure, most likely today has a plan that looks like the binder on the left-hand side. And usually as a part of those plans are the building schematics or blueprints. Now, sometimes we take these plans and we digitize them when we send them around, but really what we've noticed across the last couple of years of doing this is that the building blueprints and schematics are really not usable, and ultimately they're not accessible to those that need them. So what we wanted to do as a company was understand what is in place today, then take our lessons learned, kind of take what's in place today and help it evolve so it's in a more usable, accessible format. Through that process, we identified 3 issues that had to be overcome. First is that when you look at imagery, imagery is always presented in true north. So if you look at Google Earth, Bing Mapping, Pictometry, Near Map, jurisdiction view, or any of the imagery sources that are on hand by our nation's first responders, when they're provided imagery, it's true north, so north is up. But if you take note of this piece of imagery and on top of this school, and you look at the gold star, as I come from the imagery that's true north, and I look at the blueprint, you'll see that blueprint rotates and the gold stars unfortunately do not match up. Well, the reason for that is that although imagery is in true north, Building blueprints are designed on what's called Project or Plan North, which is arbitrary. Every blueprint, depending on the architecture and your design the building, is going to be oriented differently. So if we simply just took all the floor plans on file for all the schools in the state of Colorado and put them on file, they're going to be rotated in different cardinal directions. The second issue is if we talk just schools for a second, school buildings themselves across the country on average are over 50 years old. That's 50 years of changes, renovations, and additions. And unfortunately, the floor plans that are out there today no longer represent the locations that they're for. And that's just because over time, the locations have changed. Lastly, the blueprints are rarely labeled to match the nomenclature of the facility. Meaning if you looked at this and I said, go to classroom 5 or door 6 or conference room 3 or stairway 18, that label is not marked on top of this graphic. But everyone on this call knows better than I do that when someone calls 911, they're going to use the signage of the location that they're calling from. They're going to say, I'm having chest pain in the teacher's lounge, or I slipped and fell in stairway A. Well, unfortunately, the individual who receives that call and those that respond to that call do not have this information that's properly labeled at their fingertips to kind of bridge the communication gap. So as a company, what we do is fix these 3 issues that I identified. First, we orient the blueprints to match the imagery. So every blueprint is facing the same direction. 2, we walk every structure with engineering software and we correct the base schematic. So if this facility has moved walls, moved doors, changed it all over the however long it's been built, we will change that as we're walking through. And then lastly, we label it to match the specific location. So if your school, the front door is 1, or it's A, or it's B-32, the maps will match the physical structure. So now I'm going to show a very quick animation to show what it is that we do. We take whatever's on file, we cut it out, we rotate it so it's true north on an up-to-date piece of aerial imagery. We then walk the structure with engineering software and we correct the base schematic. So again, if you've moved walls, moved doors, changed anything, as we're going through this on-site verification process, we're correcting the floor plan to match your location. Next thing that we do is we work very closely with the staff at the specific structure to identify the labeling convention of the building. So if it's door 1, door A, classroom 215, the staff parking lot, or is it the faculty parking lot, the student parking lot, Smith softball complex, however this facility is labeled, whatever the labeling convention is that is tied to it, we want to overlay that in plain text, enabling very clear communication. Next thing that we do is also work with the staff to find key features of the building: fire access control panel, gas shutoffs, electrical disconnects, AED locations, things that our responders are looking for during a critical incident. We want to make sure that those are marked on top of it, so we're not looking for those, those key locations during a critical incident. And then lastly, we grid it out, really leveraging lessons learned in the military, but the intent of the grid is to simplify the mapping process and to enable very clear, concise communication. So now with the grid overlaid, independent of your level of training, independent of your public safety discipline, so communication specialist, a police officer, firefighter, medical technician, or a school administrator, security professional, so independent of your discipline, or your jurisdiction. Are you coming from the state, county, or federal partners? Independent of all of that, the maps are super simple for everyone to understand with minimal training required. So now what goes back as a final product is a collaborative response graphic or simply a CRG. So now in the example in front of everybody, I'd like you to play a quick game of Battleship with me and find grid square J4. So you find J, Juliet, top right margin, 4 left-hand side, kind of come together to the northeastern portion of the building, the grid square J4. In grid square J4, you'll find a door marked door D, door Delta. And I want everyone to come through door D onto the black hallway and then make their first right in the media center. Chances are I put everyone through a very specific door to a specific part of this building. I doubt anyone's ever been to Brielle Elementary School in Monmouth County, New Jersey, and I doubt you've ever seen this mapping technique before. And ultimately, that's all that we're trying to do, is to flatten the communication so during a critical incident, everyone can communicate in a very efficient, easy way. When we build maps, we build 2 types of maps. First is a macro, which is what you're looking at here. Really, it's just a high altitude perspective exterior to the structure. We want to make sure we're catching ballparks, ingress, egress, really the exterior of the building. So from a command and control perspective, an incident occurs, we can make better decisions about really the layout of the structure. But most importantly, I show this because it enables me to talk about the technology that we use. If you look at row 8 across the bottom, it looks like there's 2 different shades of green, kind of dark green on the top, light green on the bottom. Well, the reason for that is we use a very specific piece of mapping software that enables us to pull imagery from any platform, any satellite, any drone, any airplane. We can pull that imagery and stitch it together like a jigsaw puzzle. So now what we're able to do is remove bad imagery with good imagery. Use cases on the bottom of this, you see that parking lot that's there? Well, that's a brand new parking lot. If you looked at the satellite imagery or Google Earth, that was not there. We can fly a drone or get other imagery, replace the bad imagery with new stuff. Also, most importantly, the software enables us to embed a latitude and longitude into each pixel in the imagery. So now each pixel in this piece of imagery has a lat and long. Because the imagery is smart, when we get our hands on the floor plans that are usually rolled up in a tube in the basement, and we run them through our process of cutting them out, making them digital, making them accurate, making them to scale, overlaying them, labeling them, finding key features, and then ultimately taking that file and registering it or overlaying it to the imagery, because the imagery is smart, the blueprints become smart now as well, which is very important. What we're so excited about with our relationship with RapidSOS is because now we're taking these floor plans that before had no geospatial properties, and because of our workflow, they're becoming geospatially smart. And with that, when we upload them on top of the imagery and then upload this final package into RapidSOS, you can now real-time geolocate a 911 caller internal to the facility. So if it's a map we have done, it automatically, every map we do gets uploaded to RapidSOS. And now when you call, that gets presented to the PST, they can select if they want to look at it and see real-time where the person is who is making that call. But also important to identify is that on this example, I want to call everyone's attention to grid square I-5. So again, I'm going to go top margin to I-5 in the left-hand side, little game of Battleship again. Northeastern portion of the structure, outside room 53, I want to call your attention to door 9, one of the little green circles. And I'm going to start at 9 and I'm going to count to the north. And it goes door 9, 10, 11, 12, 29, 13, and the door's mislabeled. Well, the reason for that is that this structure, the door's mislabeled, which unfortunately is not uncommon. That's why it's important we go building by building, label by label, gather the data, and make sure it's accurate. Traditionally, what we start with, if we're lucky, is an architectural drawing that looks like this. But again, this is designed to build a building, not to enable more efficient incident response. But we're able to take this graphic and it goes back looking like this. But unfortunately, although one school in the school district I'm showing has good floor plans for one of the schools, they transmitted this for a different school in the school district. And about 11–12% of the time, this is what we are starting with as a company, either an abstract representation of the building not to scale, something similar to this, or a lot of times we'll get hand-drawn maps, like in a spiral-bound notebook. They lost the floor plans and they've tried to do their best to fix it, or a school or facility is not able to produce anything at all. Our intent is to work with public safety and the building owner when we identify these issues. And we're able to take this piece of abstract information and have it go back looking like this. So what you're seeing is we're standardizing the issue pre-incident. We want to get it, get left to bang and make sure that the information on file is accurate and usable. But in this example, you'll see the doors are identified but not labeled, meaning as you look at this, you'll see little green circles at all the doors. The reason for that is because when we initially walked this school, the doors were not labeled. It is our intent that the buildings only match, the maps only match the building labels. So now if this building doesn't have labels, we will not make up fake labels. But what happens every day is we're out there doing this work. We identify a critical deficiency like this. We help facilitate a conversation between this building owner and public safety. Once a recommendation is made how to label the structure, we rewalk, relabel, ultimately redisseminate. So really, as we're continuing to identify deficiencies and fix them, the maps just change over time. Also important to identify is that each floor of a structure gets its own layer. So what you're looking at here is a school district out in Marshalltown, Iowa, but also important is that you'll see the ground floor and the first floor. Well, what is confusing, I'll show next, is that there's also a basement in the structure. The label and convention of the buildings is extremely important. Sometimes we go to schools and they don't use ground floor. They just go first floor, second floor. Sometimes it's basement, ground floor, first floor. Everyone does it differently. So that's what's really important is, again, building by building, label by label, so that when someone picks up the phone and says they're having chest pain on the ground floor, we're not confused when we show up to an actual 3-story structure. What are they referring to as the ground floor? So again, each floor gets its own graphic. First floor, second floor, correction, ground floor, first floor. Next, I have the basement and the second floor. So really you're seeing now the geospatial context is we're overlaying that layer as it sits on the second floor of that structure. But if you looked at just the imagery, you wouldn't you would not be able to tell where that is. Everything I've shown up to this point has been public schools. Really, that's the moral underpinnings of the business. There's 5 states in the country where CRG is mapping every single public school in those states. But in addition to mapping public and private schools, this technique really applies across the board. Here you're looking at a place of worship, but the reason I show this example is because it's more of a campus style. Also, one of the things we deal with on a daily basis is because this is a campus style, there's different types of floor plans in place. The building on the top right is about 100 years old. The building on the bottom left is about 12, 13 years old. So when we started the project, they gave us a rolled up set of blueprints that was 100 years old and a thumb drive. You know, again, everybody on this call knows better than I do. Imagine trying to give that to a responder under stress. They could not use that information to communicate off of or drive a more efficient decision. This is a multiple story structure in an urban environment. It's actually the country's 8th largest hospital up in the Bronx. But you'll see here a very complicated location. But when we started this project, it was really just a complicated jigsaw puzzle where I had different pieces of the building that were, you know, rolled up blueprints. Some were sent to us as PDFs via email. Some were on thumb drives. Some were just scanned PDFs. We're able to take all the different types of floor plans that existed, stitch them together like a jigsaw puzzle, then go walk it for accuracy, walk it to verify, to make sure it was to scale, collect the labels, collect the key features, and then ultimately bake it all together. And then also very important is that on the bottom of this, you'll see the building information number. So on the bottom right, a little blue box. That is something we get when we work very closely with first responders in New York City. So just another example, you know, as we do any map that we do in New York City Police Department and Fire Department are actually providing us how they want to categorize the buildings. And that's one of the things we really pride ourselves in is as we're out there mapping structures and throughout the country, is that first responders are our partner through this process to make sure we're including the information that they need. But as I go from the 2nd floor of the structure to the 6th floor, you kind of see how the levels change associated with the building. Milwaukee Brewery, State of Mountain, Wisconsin, sporting venues, an airport down in Florida. But really right here is the crux of the presentation. So as you're looking at from far left to the right, this is the problem that we're trying to solve across the country. So pick whatever county you're from. Unfortunately, the floor plans of your schools, hospitals, and other pieces of critical infrastructure today most likely look at the far left-hand side of the slide. At least that has been our experience as we go across the country. So the first thing that we do is start with the individual building owners and find the raw data of every floor for the locations that we're mapping. So building by building, floor by floor, we find the raw data in whatever format it sits in. After we find it, as we've talked about, we have to bring it up to the standard so it's actually usable. So find it first, fix it second. Lastly, and most importantly, is dissemination of this. And what we've realized is that as we go through public safety and we create these really great maps, is that if the first responders from the community, from the initial call for service to the individual who's walking through the front door of the incident, they're all using different types of technology. And as we look at a large scale critical incident, with mutual aid being involved, everyone's showing up with different types of technology. Because of that, in an attempt to create a common operating picture, we acknowledge the problem set and we have found a way to take our maps and upload it into a majority of the systems currently deployed within the space. So we create our common operating picture through the content. So we want to work with the individual building owner, we want to work with the 911 center, the PSAP, we want to work with the police department, fire department, county, the state, understand what is deployed from a tech perspective and put the maps into your systems. So what that looks like in practice is right here. So the first place we always start is with the RapidSOS integration. Like I mentioned earlier, every map that we do gets uploaded on a pretty regular basis into the RapidSOS system. So every, the 500 maps we create this month, or 500 buildings rather, they just get scraped and uploaded directly into the RapidSOS portal. So now let's say it's a location we've mapped in your AOR, that map will present itself real time to a PST for them to select and drive additional information from. But after we leave the comm center, if we use schools or hospitals as an example, one of the big things that has happened across the country is there are a tremendous amount of school safety panic buttons that exist. Raptor, Rave, Crisis Go, Navigate 360. There's a lot of them out there. We work with all of them. So let's say we've mapped a school, we're going to put it into the school system, also the 911 system. To the right of that are video management solutions, Milestone, Genetech. Also want to highlight our partnership with Zero Eyes, a really great partner of ours, company we've been working with for a while. Their gunshot detection systems are one of the best in the industry. And that's just another system that being deployed in a school or a piece of critical infrastructure or private infrastructure, our maps go as a layer in their tool. But past the video solutions to the bottom left is the CADs, the computer aided dispatch. We work with the majority of the industry leaders from a CAD perspective, just a geospatial layer that gets rendered in the file so it can be seen real time. And then on the bottom right are mobile applications. Two that are important. One is a tool called ATAC. That is what our federal partners and a number of state agencies across the state use. A number of officers in the state of Colorado use this today for situational awareness. It's really just a blue force tracking mobile application that enables responders to get access to mapping data. Our maps go in there. And then we've seen a tremendous movement in the space of a mobile application called GXP On Scene. It's this little blue one here. I'll show what that looks like. So real time, this is what it looks like in the state of New Jersey. where this is just a county perspective, but all 100 schools in a county are mapped and standardized in the CRG format. The maps are uploaded into all the systems we just discussed. The maps are also uploaded into this system, which is a mobile application. That enables real-time officers in the field to access the mapping data and share the location of their handset real-time, either the communications comm center or to other leadership that they have. And they can see themselves on the responders in real time in the mapping data that's been built out. One of the last things that I'll show, and then I'll take any questions, is that really as we build out the mapping data, we're creating these great base maps. The maps can be used for a number of different things. So this is just one example of the maps being used for a parent reunification plan. This is I Love You Guys, very popular out in the state of Colorado. So every map that we do is compatible with their reunification protocols. And just this before was a 30-page document on how to execute a reunification plan. Now it's been boiled down into 2 pictures. Also, very similar example. This is out in Vegas at a concert middle of last year, where we were able to take what was the operational plan and create a picture plan of that. So think about how the NFL or NHL does its planning. They don't plan in written text of how they're going to throw a football or run a football. They do it in pictures because it's super simple for everyone to understand in a matter of seconds. This is the same exact principle we're applying here is a visual emergency action plan. But with that, I will stop and take any questions that anybody has, if that's appropriate.
Absolutely appropriate. Thanks, Mike.
Yes, sir.
Folks, the floor is open to questions for CRG with both Mike and Dennis here with us today. I will add that not only are these CRG maps, putting a common operating picture, for all the different responders, but we're so quick to talk about interagency and intra-agency collaboration from one agency to another, and I think this kind of allows us to communicate at the very base level better within your own agency, between the dispatch, between the fire department, between the EMS responders, so on and so forth. So that was just one of my thoughts. But questions for Mike and Dennis? Okay, as I previously mentioned, I'm happy to put you in touch with either of these folks. Just shoot me an email or let me know, give me a call, and I can put you in touch with Mike or Dennis.
One of the last things I'll add is that usually from a pricing perspective, there's 2 different ways that we go about this. Traditionally, public safety is receiving this information at no cost. We want to be partners with the public safety apparatus in the communities, and we ask that you just help introduce us to the building owners that you're most interested. So traditionally, we'll look at it as an example. Collier County, Florida, been doing a tremendous amount of work down in Collier County, Florida. Communications director down there, Bob Finney, very progressive in terms of wanting to get his locations mapped. Help facilitate conversation with him, the sheriff's department. Everybody got involved. They then made introductions to the school, to the hospitals, to the zoo, and it just really kind of grew out very quickly. And they're receiving all that information at no cost. So the building owners are paying for that. The cost has been spread across the community. And now every piece of critical infrastructure in that county, per the direction of the communications director, has been mapped and at no cost to public safety. That said, there are other counties that go and get we're also with the next generation 911 funds. A lot of states we're seeing that indoor mapping is a part of that. And we've had a number of comm centers come in and just contract us to map key pieces of infrastructure, either the schools, hospitals, and other things in their area.
Awesome, Mike, thanks. And to reiterate, the people who benefit most with this solution, being dispatchers and first responders out in the field, are the ones that are paying nothing for it, in most circumstances. So again, please, first and foremost, thanks, Dennis and Mike, so very much for joining us. I appreciate it a lot. I know your time's valuable, so we appreciate you being able to present. And again, I will pass along any contact information for folks looking to get in touch.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thank you, guys. Have a great afternoon. Folks, we're right on time here. I got 40 minutes after the hour, and I should be expecting Jeff from Convey 911. Are you here, sir? If you are here, you may be on.
All right, Sam. Yep, I am here. Here I come.
Welcome, Jeff. The floor is yours, sir.
There we go. Thank you, Sam, and bravo on right on time. Right on time. Appreciate it. Thanks, everyone, for the opportunity. I'm excited to speak to all the folks here from Colorado. I'll actually be out there in a couple of weeks visiting my brother in Frisco, which is just an awesome place out there. But I'm honored and excited to be here to kind of talk about our platform. Thanks, Sam, for putting this together. This is a great opportunity for us to kind of get back with the folks that we've spoken to out in Colorado, and be able to, and I'm sorry, I think that I am using the wrong, there we go. And be able to kind of talk about what we've built here at Convey 911. So a little bit of background on who we are and how we came to be. We're a relatively new platform offering for public safety, and we come from a public safety background. By we, I mean our founding team. Myself and my co-founder, Lisa, we both have 15 plus years of public safety experience. I was in the fire service for about 15 years in Prince George's County, Maryland, outside of Washington, D.C. I co-founded several startups a long time ago in public safety. Lisa comes from a law enforcement background and a communications background. And the two other kind of founding members of the team also come from public safety. Colleen ran a PSAP for about 10 years in her role as a career firefighter. And Chris had similar experience in Washington, D.C. as a career firefighter. So we came together with the goal to solve a common problem across public safety and 911, specifically in communications. We have such a diverse range of ethnicities and languages and demographics across the country. I'm sure across the state of Colorado, we're seeing increased call volumes, but we're also seeing increases in the number of callers that are non-English speaking. So we aim to enable public safety and government services and law enforcement, fire EMS, to be able to communicate in any language over text, video, and voice. So how do you ask the question, 911, what's your emergency? Or rather, how do you ask someone what language they speak when you're not sure what language they speak? And it's a pretty simple challenge or pretty simple problem, but a big one to solve. So we've been doing a lot of testing in a couple different early adoption agencies, including our hometown of Baltimore, and trying to open the dialogue of a text thread with a non-English speaker by asking that question in the respective jurisdictions' top 6, 7, 8 languages. But ultimately, what we built is an NG911 platform that is encompassing text communications with built-in language translation, video, soon to include real-time voice closed caption in about 110 languages, and people finding and location services. But really, the back end of the platform is where a lot of the value prop kind of sits silently, because this is public safety. This is law enforcement, and all of the data that is running through these 240 million calls for service annually across the nation, they're all subject to subpoenas. They're all subject to requests for information. So we wanted to ensure that we were able to meet that pretty strict requirement of data integrity, a chain of custody, evidentiary scrutiny. Today, the majority of all of those calls, and for the foreseeable future, are coming in over voice. But we're seeing an increase in text. Text to 911 is an increasing statistic or number, and it's increasing at 2x, 3x percentage in some agencies. In Austin, Texas, kind of one of our early adopters, they're seeing a 2x increase in text to 911 month over month. They started earlier this year getting about 600. I think now they're receiving close to 3,000 texts a month to 911. So that trend is expected to increase, and we're building a platform that is allowing you to manage and automate a lot of those workflows, but do it with the emphasis of language, making sure that you can provide that same value prop to the community, whether they speak English, whether they speak Mandarin, whether they speak Vietnamese. So in probably 10 out of 10 PSAPs across the country, this is the typical workflow when they encounter a non-English speaking caller. They conference bridge in typically one of two services, language line or voyance. And the experience that we have heard pretty consistently in the probably 70 or 80 PSAPs that we've spoken to over the last year is that it's generally not a great experience for a number of reasons. But we heard a story up in State College, Pennsylvania, recently at the State of Pennsylvania NINA APCO conference from a call taker that had a non-English speaking mother, believe Spanish speaking mother, on the phone, and she was trying to communicate CPR instructions because her 2 or 3 year old daughter was not breathing. The translator on the line, realizing the severity of the situation and what was actually happening, she panicked and she terminated the call. So language is not just a challenge between call taker and caller. It is also a challenge when you introduce a third party like a translator, that 7 out of 10 of those calls that they are fielding are coming from the private sector. So we're trying to provide technology that will allow, not necessarily replacing human-based translation services, but possibly in the near future, have a primary workflow that revolves around text and voice-based translation when you encounter a non-English speaker. So we're a web-based platform. We're entirely in the cloud, and we have 3 main value props. The technology itself is built on a framework that is able to not just be multi-region. So for example, if Amazon Web Services has an issue in the East Coast region, that's fine. We fail over to the Central or to the West Coast, but we're also cloud agnostic. And the technology that we build is containerized in such a way that we can run it on Google, we can run it on AWS, we can run it on Azure. If you happen to have your own on-premise cloud or hybrid cloud, we can run it there too. But it is a very plug and play type technology that follows all of the expected best practices. So on the value prop number 1, text message, SMS and MMS, with built-in detection and translation. Currently, we're supporting about 136 languages. And one of the things that we do in our workflow when we do a translation is, we're an integration platform. So we hook into providers. RapidSOS is one of our partners and is a provider of data. That data is real-time location data when a 911 caller or texter comes into your PSAP. But we also have language and dialect providers. Google is one of them, but we currently have 3. So we are able to go out to each of them during a translation and compare the results. And of those results, we're able to pull the most accurate based on algorithms and source that translation back to that provider. So from an audit point of view, all of that is captured, and we're making the best quantitative decision around which translation we're choosing. We have the ability to receive inbound text from your community through a number of means. We can provision a dedicated 10-digit local number in your area code and exchange. If you currently have a publicly available 10-digit phone number, we can port the messaging capabilities of that number and begin receiving inbound text. We can accept MMS for picture and video clips, but all of that is configurable to your agency. So if you don't want video, or you don't want that capability to receive video in one of these threads, you can disable that. You can turn that off. We hope to be finished our testing with Comtech, who is a TCC provider, and we hope to finish that within the next 2 to 4 weeks, which will make us a text to 911 provider. So as we look at mandates coming up around NG 911 and text to 911, we can help you achieve that compliance through a standalone cloud-based platform that has no fingerprint on your network. There's no integrations required. It's entirely in the cloud. The integrations that we do have are with partners like RapidSOS, but nothing on-prem. Next value prop, people finding. So being able to identify where a caller is in real time is critically important to a 911 workflow. But it's not always available because there are scenarios, and I'm sure in Colorado you encounter them given your geography, but there are scenarios where someone has not necessarily called 911. It's a welfare check. Someone's lost hiking. Being able to solicit or query their device in a way where they can consent to share their location back to you and be able to present that inside of the conversation, store it on the record as GPS coordinates, and also track their location. So that location request, if they are on foot or they are moving, we can show the same type of breadcrumb behavior that you're used to seeing in RapidSOS, but with a non-911 caller. In addition, we also have a new partnership that we'll be announcing here shortly with NextNav. NextNav is one of, if not maybe the only, I don't want to say that because I believe there may be one other, but they are the leader in vertical location. And in places like Denver, where you do have multi-story high-rise buildings, there is a value prop to be able to say this caller is calling from the 11th floor. So this Z-axis location metric is part of how we are able to query a user's or a citizen's device and say, hey, where are you? Being able to take their latitude, longitude, calibrate it against NextNav's Pinnacle vertical location service and say, hey, they're at this elevation, which is on the 11th floor, and show you a GIS map visualization in 3 dimensions with a pin on the 11th floor. We're going to be rolling that out in Baltimore in the coming 2 weeks. Pretty excited because when you look at that workflow and you actually can visualize that 3D building with a pin up here, it's a pretty powerful statement. Next value prop is embedded and interactive video. You know, for us, video is a nice to have, but it's not a must have. And as NG911 evolves, we're hearing from PSAPs that in some cases they are ready and open to endorsing, enabling everything video. Other PSAPs are not. And they are begrudgingly getting on the video train. But regardless of what that position is, it's a capability, it's a tool. So in your PSAP, you can configure convey 911 to meet your requirements and your standards. You can have that capability available or not, but you can also configure it internally as to how it behaves. So being able to send a video request to some citizen in the field, but be able to limit who can see it, being able to blur out the video but keep the audio, unless you are a person that has a certain privilege. And we've heard that from PSAP. So being able to have a lightweight, no apps required, one click, eyes on in the field, and be able to see that, record that optionally as part of the record. That capability is part of our platform as well. One click, we generate a tokenized link that ultimately allows them to share your video. So being able to remotely toggle the user's device, front and back, audio, etc. We're building out some additional capabilities right now, really, that will incorporate closed caption transcriptions in about 110 different languages to include multi-parties. So the use case here is for us, PSAPs, and here in Baltimore, it's headquartered, it's the headquarters of the National Federation of the Blind. So we are working on ASL technology as well as ASL partnerships. So being able to have 3 people in a video session to do an ASL translation with closed captions is a pretty cool value prop. And we're pretty excited about that kind of first iteration of our new voice transcription translation technology. So high level, these are our capabilities. These are our value props. Text to 911, we expect end of October to be finished with our testing. We have several early adoption agencies that are queued up and are going to help really make sure that it's, you know, doing the things that it needs to do with respect to a text to 911 workflow. But we plan and expect general availability of you know, text to 911 as a provider service beginning of next year. Cloud agnostic, you know, it's not something that's a super high value prop when you think about just what that really means, you know, but for us, it means mission critical. This is 911, this is public safety. And we all know that Amazon and the other cloud providers have outages, they have blips and things go wrong, and it makes the front page of newspapers. So being able to fail over, not just to a different geography, but also possibly to a different cloud provider, just helps to add that resiliency of a modern critical, you know, mission critical infrastructure. Voice transcription translation, it is coming soon. We have been actively working on it for the last 3 or 4 months. We've got a lot of cool AI and technology built in to be able to address, you know, the core technology of taking voice and turning it into text, and then optionally also translating it. We have kind of 3 use cases that we're going to be deploying this in. The obvious is kind of in the call center, in the, you know, the telecommunicators workflow, being able to have someone that is a non-English speaker on the phone and be able to read in English what they're saying and be able to talk back to them. And I think that that's a pretty unique capability. But when you think about technologies like Amazon Alexa, to be able to take that kind of programmable voice and talk back to somebody in Vietnamese or in Korean, and have a bidirectional conversation with a non-English speaking caller on the phone, we're pretty excited about that because we think it's really going to be a game changer. But the other kind of 2 use cases here, I mentioned video. So we're going to have real-time transcription and translation overlaid on top of our video capability. But the third use case is something that we've heard a lot from our, you know, relationships into law enforcement. A police officer does a traffic stop, and it's a non-English speaking driver. What do they do? In most cases, it is the same kind of workflow. It is a, you know, a radio patch to a human-based translation service. It's clunky, it's slow, and it takes valuable time. We've also heard cases where the officer says, well, the offense is not that big a deal. I know this is going to take me 20 minutes just to communicate. Have a nice day. So we're going to take this underlying, you know, core voice transcription translation technology, and we're going to deploy it in the field. And we're going to do that in a similar workflow to the way an officer would request a translator to be patched in, except in this case, we're going to send them a QR code. And the QR code is ultimately going to be used to create one of these real-time voice sessions between the driver's device and the officer's device, in which they can each speak and see what the other person is saying. So, you know, describing it sounds pretty simple, but there's obviously a lot of moving parts. But that entire dialogue in the field, in the call center, on the video session, every single phrase, every single word that's captured is on the record. So it's being stored in the evidence, which is part of our backend platform. It's being cryptographically signed. It's being stored in the GovCloud, and the ability to share it with an outside agency like a district attorney's office is a one-click email address, setting an expiration date of that link. It's only available for download for 3 hours, and then let's say that, you know, the link goes away, but have that ability to control the sharing of that data by putting a timestamp on it. That prevents you from having to download something, put it as an attachment in your email, send it to them. The chain of custody there gets pretty murky. So we're providing a hands-off ability to share evidence to external or third-party agencies like lawyers and DA's offices and public defenders' offices, and do it in a way where the chain of custody is preserved, the artifact is not touched during transport, it is simply shared, and that target recipient receives it, and it is intact as defined by the signature that was created when we generated the artifact. So pricing, high level, we are not a seat-based pricing model. We are looking at the size of your agency and saying, how many calls for service, or asking rather, how many calls for service annually do you answer? Because ultimately for us, that kind of gauges, a general, potential, adoption or use case or usage model, without actually saying, we're going to nickel and dime and meter you. That doesn't feel right, and it doesn't fit for this industry, in my opinion. So on the smaller side, Sacco, Maine, as an example, they're a small PSAP. They have, I think maybe 2 or 3 telecommunicators. They were up and running inside of 2 weeks with training for $5K, and that's a recurring subscription-based kind of model, but it is all inclusive. In all of your users, unlimited messaging, unlimited capabilities. There's an add-on cost for video storage if you choose to enable that, simply because there's a cost for data storage, and video tends to be large. But on the mid-size, Newport News, Virginia, you're looking at 15 to mid to upper 20s. And at large agencies, as an example, Baltimore, they answer about 1.3 million calls for service a year, and they're in the 40K range. So the ability to have an all-inclusive package with all features, all functionality as part of a one-time fee, and then you can build up from there. So if you're in an urban area that has high rises and you want access to be able to see vertical location, we can add on that Z-Access location service. ASL, same kind of deal. Text 911, it's an add-on. So being able to do that in a kind of an approach that is suited and tailored for your PSAP and your agency, that's really where we think that it makes the most sense. So Sam, I'm gonna stop. I've talked through that. I'm gonna skip the live demo. Obviously, I'm out of time here, but I think being able to tell the story and kind of talk through the value props, it's a good way to kind of, I think, for our audience here, being able to say, yeah, that's interesting. And for those folks, I'm happy to jump, myself, Lisa, Colleen, Chris, we can jump on and do a 30-minute demo, and we can show you all this, including how we work with RapidSOS. But there's the teaser. Thank you again for the time, Sam. Thanks again for the invitation, and I yield my time to the floor.
Jeff, thank you so very much, sir. Greatly appreciated. I think back to my time as a telecommunicator at the city of Aurora, where, Aurora and Denver and the surrounding areas are such a cultural hodgepodge of different languages being spoken, and how valuable a tool like this would have been back in my day. But I'll open the floor while we have about a minute and a half for any questions for Jeff regarding Convey 911. Otherwise, I'm happy to field them and connect you after the call. All right, I'm hearing none. Jeff, again, thank you so very much for your time, sir. We greatly appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Look forward to hopefully chatting with you folks out there. Be safe and have a great week. Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Jeff. Guys, I feel like an MC. I'm having kind of fun, having a lot of fun doing this. I hope you're still with us. I hope you're getting some value and learning about some cool technologies that we're offering inside the RapidSOS portal through our some of our partner network partners. I want you to also understand that we do this, these aren't just folks coming in off the street saying, hey, can we throw our solution inside RapidSOS? They're highly vetted. They're solutions that are active and essential in 911 centers across the US today. So just important that you understand that that we're relatively selective in the process of who we choose to share that data inside the RapidSOS portal, and hope that it's all pertinent. So that being said, I shall check to see if Ted's on the line from Everbridge.
I have arrived.
Awesome, Ted. Thanks for joining, folks. I'm sure you're absolutely confident and aware of Everbridge here in the state of Colorado, but I think Ted's got some cool stuff to show you regarding 911 Connect.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Sam, and welcome everybody, and good afternoon. And I'm looking at the screen here, and I definitely see some friendly names that I haven't talked to. Hey, Bruce, how you doing? Let me go ahead and share my screen here. Just a little background on me before I begin. I worked 20 years in public safety in Colorado. Actually, I was out there in the city of Boulder, and where I was a dispatcher for a couple of years, supervisor for 7, and then I spent the last 11 years before I retired last year as a 911 director. So definitely been in your guys' shoes, and then I came over the dark side here last year, and I'm starting working for Everbridge, and so I'm hoping to be able to bring you some of the products that we have here. This one is specific to what we have as our 911 Connect. So I'll just go ahead. I have a brief PowerPoint presentation, and then I will jump into our RapidSOS portal sandbox that we have to kind of talk about and display what we're showing here. So with that, RapidSOS has partnered with us, Everbridge, to expand their database, bringing in all the rich data to the 911 emergency call when available, such as a name, address, associated contacts, or additional household members to accelerate emergency response and improve its efficiency. So with traditional 911, as you're already aware, you're limited to the information that you receive and what is available. And you're also limited to what the telco carriers can provide. So delays can occur in getting this time-sensitive information. So Everbridge 911 connects RapidSOS with our National Life and Safety database. So we have a database that has 200 different sources that it gets its information from, and it has 265 million contacts. We get our information from sources such as the DMV, United States Postal Service, credit cards, billing statements, subscriptions, and the Census Bureau. Pretty much anytime anybody signs up for anything and they click on that terms and condition box, gives us the ability to go in there and capture that information for that life and safety database. We take that information, we aggregate it, we vet it, we score it, and then we update it on a monthly basis. So you have immediate access to the data, and with this additional information at the fingertips of your dispatchers, you can provide your first responders with pertinent information when it matters. So now with RapidSOS and Everbridge, you can gain real-time information and wireless GPS location all in a single pane of glass, a common operating picture. And you'll receive that continual live updated GPS location with more confidence. And then with Everbridge 911 Connect, you have the direct access to our National Life and Safety database. So with instant access to the additional information, you can help verify that caller and other associated contacts faster with higher match rates. Using your existing RapidSOS portal with no additional equipment, no extra screens, or nothing additional to monitor, Everbridge 911 Connect provides that data for our National Life and Safety database in a form of a data card within the RapidSOS portal. The more information you can provide your officers, the better you're able to inform them as they go into that potentially unknown situation. With Everbridge 911 Connect, we bring in the rich data with the 911 call. So you have the information, the addresses, the associated household members, phone numbers, all in which you can find, use to find out as much as you can before that officer even gets on scene. Some of the data that we provide is the dispatchers, is the name of the person tied to that phone number. We also provide the address that is tied to that person and that phone number. If they have additional phone numbers, you're going to also receive that information as well, along with the associated carrier and the device type of device. And you'll receive any associated contacts like household members that are tied to that person, and the phone number and their address as well. So with 911 Connect provides the names, other phone numbers, and even associated household members. You can quickly handle those abandoned and 911 hang-up calls. Many of the PSAPs and 911 call centers around the country, as we all know, are facing short-staffed, and while call loads and responsibilities are also on the rise for them. So 911 Connect saves valuable time and is right at their fingertips in the place that they already leverage, which is that RapidSOS portal. When an abandoned or hang up 911 call comes in with 911 Connect, they see the information tied to that phone already without having to do any additional work or research. So if they're not able to get a response from an attempted callback, the 911 call taker can utilize another number and tries to call that so they can reach that person and verify that there wasn't actually an emergency. According to the American Psychological Association in 2021 study, at least 20% of 911 calls are related to mental crisis. Over the past 2 years, some areas have experienced even higher numbers than that. So with these types of calls, it may be very difficult to obtain pertinent information such as their location, their address, or their name. Having that information to help with the identity using 911 Connect, you can gather that details necessary to help send the appropriate resources to the right location. It's not uncommon for minors to call 911 either. So calls from children range from accidental calls to home burglaries to issues with parents. One of my favorite calls I always like to talk about is when I was working in the 911 center on a Sunday evening. I received a 911 call from a 5-year-old needing help with his math homework. And he asked why he called, or I asked why he called 911, and he told me his mom sent him up to his room to finish homework. And he actually that day he learned from school, there was an officer that came in and did a presentation, and they said, if you ever need help, always call 911. And so that's exactly what he did. He went up to his room, took his mom's cell phone, and he called me 911 because he needed help with his math problem. So that's what he did. But if the minor happens to call 911 with 911 Connect, not only are you getting the name associated with the number, but again, you're getting the household members and their contact information. So you can contact other family members if necessary when emergency services are dispatched to help. Swatting calls can also be another good use case for 911 Connect, can be helpful. 911 Connect, again, provides that additional information on who's calling, along with what type of phone and other related information. So you can provide your first responders more information prior to entering that potentially dangerous situation. And with the search capability that we have, you can search anytime, 24/7, 365, any type of 10-digit US phone number. So you can search any number that is in the Everbridge 911 Connect profile. The system will search our National Life and Safety database at any time. It doesn't have to be a 911 call for you to search this information, and it doesn't have to be in a certain window of time either. If there is a match in our database, then the information will appear. So for those requests from an officer responding to a scene or a detective trying to locate somebody, get more information, or follow up on a previous call, assessing our National Life and Safety database is a great resource to search and provide information irrespective of the phone type, and it's not limited to having been an active or recent 911 call. And then, of course, what kind of return on investment can 911 Connect provide your agency? So there's a cost savings and productivity and time. You have the potential to resolve calls faster and save time from searching other databases and lists for information you can access instantly. 911 Connect provides a convenient and easy way to provide your dispatchers information right at their fingertips without having to install more equipment or new equipment or quick. So why Everbridge 911 Connect? With Everbridge 911 Connect, you can close that gap between the disparate databases through one single pane of glass. You have the power of RapidSOS location capabilities along with the Everbridge 911 database of the 265 million contacts. So you can provide your dispatchers and your first responders with that rich data right at their fingertips when a 911 call is received. And then you can search that number anytime, any phone number through RapidSOS with no additional equipment or software needed, and have the full access to our National Life and Safety database of those 265 million contacts. So with that, I know it's a very short and brief demonstration, but any questions, I'll open up to the floor.
As I've done with the past few demonstrations, Ted, and I think we have a bit of a shy audience, or perhaps the presentations have been pretty tremendous. But I will mention that one thing I love about this solution is that when, prior to having worked in 911, or people who don't work in 911, they assume that you dial 911 and you know exactly where they are and exactly where they live and their mother's phone number and any associated details from any number of data sources. It's just an assumption that you have. And having worked in 911, you know that that is nothing. That is nothing close to the truth. What's funny is that now with Everbridge 911 Connect and RapidSOS, we typically know precisely where that caller is. And with all this information in the 911 Connect platform, you have access to tons and tons of rich data. It's kind of making that vision of the citizens a little bit more a reality inside of RapidSOS portal. So I love it.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Sam.
Further questions for Ted here on the Everbridge 911 Connect solution through RapidSOS, folks? Awesome. Ted, we appreciate you being here so very much. We appreciate everything you're doing. As I said previously, I'm happy to connect anyone and everyone to Ted if you're not already connected there. But get a hold of me if you have any questions, thoughts, concerns, or need an introduction. I will put you in touch with Ted.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sam. And everybody take care and be safe out there.
Ted, thanks so much, sir.
Yep.
All right, guys, we got 10 minutes until our final presentation of the afternoon. That'll be Jay coming to talk about Agent 511. But while I have 10 minutes, and Bruce, if you're okay with it, I'm going to put you on the spot super duper quick. We've got 10 minutes, and since we have no time after the final presentation, I was hoping you'd tell us a little bit about RapidSOS Premium. And maybe share some insights and thoughts.
Absolutely, I'd be thrilled to. As I mentioned before, when we started our session today, Premium is a primary role of what I do at RapidSOS. So daily, I'm talking to agencies about the capabilities that RapidSOS Premium bring to the table. And one of the things I was thinking as all these other presentations were going on was that all of this, while we're talking a lot about Portal today, all of these things that we're talking about are also available and are going to be a part of your Premium environment. So no concerns over losing anything, any of these integrations or partnerships by moving to Premium. But by moving to Premium in our paid service, we are bringing a major piece into play into our Premium environment, and that's bringing your Esri data or your local authoritative GIS data into what looks like Portal. We are creating an environment that is not something that's a completely rewrite of what you and your users are used to in Portal. We're building on that. We want to make sure that we maintain the efficiencies of that call flow process, that the familiarity that your users already know about Portal, and bring that over to Premium and bring the additional features and functionality into Premium. And that starts with that base map in the Esri platform, moving you from a Google environment over to an Esri environment with all of your details, any details that you need, your jurisdictional boundaries, your fire hydrant layer, trails, address points, whatever the case may be. If it's in the Esri platform, we can utilize that in Premium. On top of bringing that local GIS information into play, moving you from the Google platform over to Esri, we're bringing Annie Alley on all classes of service. So not only bringing you additional classes of service like residential, business, VoIP, beyond what we currently do today in Portal with wireless, we're also able to bring you more information on the wireless calls because we have that insight into the Annie Alley feed now. We're able to bring you not only the RapidSOS location, but we can connect that with the Annie Alley phase 1 or phase 2 location and show you the difference in those locations, provide you the search radius based on those two locations in an environment in your Esri platform database. Beyond Annie Alley on all classes of service, I don't think it's on our list today, but we have an amazing partnership with Axon body-worn cameras to be able to bring you first responder locations into RapidSOS and streaming video from those body-worn cameras if you so choose to bring that in. We are also bringing you weather radar information into Premium, as well as traffic information. So crowdsourced traffic information showing you the flow of traffic in your community to help you make those routing decisions or those decisions to decide which unit to send. As we move further along into Premium, we are rolling Premium out in a phased approach. So phase 2 is the traffic information, the weather radar information, also deeper tools to search that Esri data and bring you what you need. One of the coolest features that I think that that RapidSOS has designed here in the most recent past is bringing a function called call taker mode to the table. And this allows you, now that we have that connection to your Annie Alley spill, we can now determine which position has answered that call. So we can now help yourself, essentially. So it allows RapidSOS, when you answer that 911 call, to select the 911 call, display the additional information, mark the location on the map, and zoom the map to that location. When you move on to your next call, 911 call, and answer that call, it will select that call and display all of the information that you need. If you need to dig deeper into what you see there, you certainly can, scrolling in the additional information, zooming the map in further. But if you see everything you need to at first glance, there's no need to manipulate
just
the
me that
mouse
lost
or
Bruce,
manipulate
or,
the system any further. Are you there, Sam? Hello?
I hear you, Bruce, but I lost connectivity for a second, so I think
Oh, okay.
maybe we all
looks
did.
like I might be back. Sam, are you there? Can you hear me?
Hey, I'm here. I lost connection. I didn't know if it was me or you.
I did too. So I think
I think it was the whole system.
Might have been a Zoom issue.
I was
So
gonna say, I promise Bruce and I are not in the same house. Not sharing the internet.
finally, I just wanted to let you know about something that we call agency share and chat. That is a feature that is coming to RapidSOS very soon. And what this allows you to do in our data-driven dispatch. You know, we're really in a data-driven world now, and that means a data-driven dispatch. That's not going anywhere anytime soon, and we really need to find a way to handle the data in the best possible manner. If we throw data at you from all different directions, it's going to cause chaos, and it's going to be of no use to you. So if we present that data to you in a platform that you're already familiar with and present it in a way that is logical and easy to consume, you can actually change the outcome of calls based on the data that you're seeing. So with agency share and chat, we're transferring the call to another agency one step further. We've been doing that for years, right? Say, let's call it a rolling domestic that's moving into a neighboring jurisdiction. You want to transfer that call to that agency, but what about all the data that you've already collected in RapidSOS from that call for service? You're now able to push that data across through RapidSOS to that agency that is receiving the call. You know, those calls are a live caller when you're transferring 911. There may be times that saying certain things that other agency needs to know could escalate the situation because they can hear you. So you can make the transfer, and then you can provide any color and details around that through agency share and chat, not only pushing the information to them that you already have, but having a chat session open that you're able to go back and forth and give them the answers that they need to the situation and what's going on for them. In our third phase of RapidSOS Premium, we'll also be bringing CAD and AVL data visibility into RapidSOS Premium. So we're really working to improve the call flow efficiency, and bring your call takers and your dispatchers' eyes to the same place every time. Rather than in some calls, I'll go use this solution. In other calls, like wireless calls, I'll use RapidSOS. Let's bring them to the same solution so they know it very well, and it has all of the information that they could possibly need at any given time. Take that unnecessary decision process out of their mind. There's no need for it. I will say that with Premium, if you have any interest whatsoever to digging in a little bit more, this is really about partners today, and I don't want to take too much time, but since we have an opening, just want to throw out there, if you have any interest in Premium, get a hold of Sam. He'll get the process started, roll that over in my direction. But we do have some significant savings on our pricing for RapidSOS Premium this year in 2022. So anybody signing a contract fully executing by the end of the year will receive the benefit of those savings. I asked Kathy if it was okay, and she said yes. Kathy Rayleigh with the Arapahoe County 911 Authority is our first Colorado agency to connect and become a partner of RapidSOS for Premium. So we are going through that process with them to roll that product out to them, and they'll actually be testing a number of the features for us, but they are rolling that out very soon in 5 of their agencies. So if you have questions now about why that 911 authority decided to do this, get a hold of Kathy. She's happy to talk to you and give you that information. And as they roll out, if you want more information about how that's going for them, the implementation process, I know Kathy would be happy to share with you. Sam, I think that's all for today. I didn't want to take up too much of your time.
Awesome, Bruce. Thank you so very much. So you're talking about this and it's painting a picture in my head, and I want you all to paint it with me, right? So the year is 2023. Your 911 call taker takes a call. They see it inside RapidSOS. RapidSOS Premium. It's got your local authoritative GIS. You see your officers' body cams cruising around on the map. You have all classes of service. You're receiving your text messages inside of RapidSOS from one of the data providers. You're translating text messages inside of RapidSOS from one of our data providers. You get a notification of a weapon on a campus from Zero Eyes. You pull up your CRG or your tactical map where you notify the administrators from 911 Inform. You're getting social media input from Public Sonar. You're doing live video. All of this through one single pane of glass. It's mind-blowing. It's what I envision next gen 911 to look like. Or when you think of futuristic, dispatch centers, you think of all these solutions inside of one single thing. So that being said, to close us off for the day, an extremely exciting solution that I can't wait to get kicked off, and that is Agent 511. 511, if Jay is on the line, I'd love for you to share your solution, sir.
Sure, I really appreciate everybody's time today, and actually I'm on my way back from the Illinois 911 show, so apologize for the kind of strange view of me in a vehicle, but either way, we're able to do this anywhere, and I'm happy to spend the time with everybody today. So are you able to see my screen, Sam?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So right now what I'm showing you is just the RapidSOS standard portal and our capability to deliver pure text tuned to the number 911 messages within the portalized solution, some of the unique features of call taker notification, audible alerts, etc., and then placing it on the map, as well as some of the text back capabilities and other multimedia functions that we're delivering from the number 911. So with that, I'm going to get started and send you an initializing text message. And along the way, maybe I'll share a little bit more about who we are and then our background, even in the state of Colorado, because there are a few agencies that are using this platform. But what I'm going to do is initialize, kind of send an inbound text to the number 911, which is actually one of the SMS we'll call it stimulation numbers. And while we're doing that, give you a little bit of background that essentially our organization has been delivering text messages for well over 10 years. Our first agency was Harris County, Texas, back as part of the original FDC initiative. But I sent in that message in, it actually was processed through the PCC, and you'll see that the message comes here in RapidSOS portal, is being placed in the map. Here where you're used to seeing your Android, your iOS information, your rideshare data, you're seeing that individual text message come in. You can see it came in Mandarin Chinese. I wanted to show you some of the auto translation capabilities that Sam described before, as well as now you see the latitude, longitude. That's the wireless carrier information. It comes over an interface called HELD. So we're showing that information and certainly use it as a complement to the device level location that you're getting through RapidSOS. You could also see it came on a map here. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of granularity because it happens to be on the Wyoming, North Dakota border, which I believe you can see here. And essentially, there's really not a lot of, kind of granularity. But I could go ahead and pop open our text window, which is, kind of a single screen SSO embedded within RapidSOS. And you'll see, the incoming chat. And I'll go back up here. You see the message came in Mandarin Chinese, auto detected that it was in Chinese and did a side-by-side language translation. And then as a consequence, any return messages they send back to the wireless user. Again, this is a 911 solution, goes through the text control center. I could, reply back.
Hey, Jay,
Yeah.
we're still seeing the RapidSOS portal. We're not seeing the messages, so it might have popped up on a different window.
Sorry, let me try to share another way. Hold on 1 second.
Yep.
There we go. Got it. Now is everybody able to see?
We got it, sir. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
sorry about that. I appreciate the note, Sam. I was sharing the browser and not the entire screen. But essentially what you see is popped up, and I was showing here inbound message in Mandarin Chinese, auto detection, side-by-side language and translation, latitude, longitude, as well as accuracy. What's coming in our next release is not only the Z-axis, but a calculated height above altitude. So we'll actually give you kind of a height above ground level versus sea level. So some ability to make those adjustments and determine where folks are located. And then you see here, I'm able to respond. I used one of the pull down messages. I'll do it again for all intents and purposes. And again, any messages that come back in Chinese will be translated to English or any one of more than 100 languages that are supported. Now, this is best effort machine-to-machine language translation. We're using the Google translation engine for this purpose. However, what we found is it's a valuable tool for agencies that have, either citizens or residents that are communicating in languages other than English. Now, if I want, I could force this to another language here. If I decided, in fact, it's Vietnamese, or if in fact it's English and they've just sent maybe a couple of pronouns or keywords in another language, I'm certainly able to make that change as needed. And I'll give you another use case that is very useful for outbound initiating texting, where you could use that feature to reach citizens who may have even called via voice. If you look here at the top, mobile phone number, wireless carrier, Verizon, again, that number 911, which is just a simulated number we use with the TCC, caller identification number, and then the ability to share this chat window within the PSAP. Essentially, all of their users look like a conference user. In a few minutes, I'll actually give you a little bit more information around reports, availability of information, configurability by an administrator. Again, these are all single sign-on within the RapidSOS portal, and certainly are available not only a part of the standard portal, but as part of premium as well. You also saw a few of the hooks here. When the new text came in, it displays within the kind of event tab here, and then maps, shown on the map. Something new in an upcoming release I'm excited about is even more granular information about which RapidSOS user was participating in the chat conversation. There's also some additional capabilities. Rebid is a standard wireless carrier rebid. Kind of looks like a phase 2 type of rebid, although some of the wireless carriers are continuing to improve their location capabilities. Certainly what we're seeing with RapidSOS from a location perspective is superior information, especially with all that additional data. Web rebid, which I'll show you in a moment, and that's the ability to send a text link to a wireless user and request that they click that link, opt in, and share their location. MMS and video streaming, which could be either part of a 911 text session or even a voice call. What you also see here, I'm just going to keep the chat active, which is why I keep sending text, is what we have as an expiration policy here. Standard for most agencies to work with is 10 minutes worth of inactivity, whether that's inbound or outbound, text messages or system-related messages, with a 5-minute warning, completely configurable by any agency to do that. But essentially, there is an expiration capability, which means that you're not hanging sessions with the wireless user. With that, I'm going to actually go on and show you the outbound initiated texting. Again, as I mentioned, even within the text to 911, I could share video. I could request additional information as well. But I'm going to go and show you that as part of the outbound texting capability. As I mentioned, I give you a little bit more background. In addition to when we were founded, there are a couple agencies within Colorado that are using it. One, Grand Junction, has been using the platform. They've been using our web-based platform for a number of years now. And Garfield County has also been a web customer and just recently added the RapidSOS portal capability. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go use the tools section, initiate an outbound text to a wireless user. I'm going to plug in a phone number here. Again, this could have been a previous texter, could have been a voice caller. It could be even you initiating outbound text to a first responder or sharing some additional information. And essentially what it will do, look up the wireless phone number, send a message to the mobile phone, letting them know that there's a new text session. Clicking on my phone, I see that I've received a new message. Now we're sending it from the number 911-911. The reason we send it from the number 911-911 is essentially a higher level of deliverability and auditability versus some of the 10-digit numbers, which we know get prone to spam. I'm going to go ahead and click Web Rebid firstly, and what this will do is send a message to my mobile device. I click on that message on my mobile device. And 1 second. It's sending me a link that I click on that link. It asks me whether or not I'm willing to opt in for location. You can see the location. You could also see I'm located in Central Illinois as I advertise. Along with that level of granularity, you could also see that it will be added to the RapidSOS map. It just takes a second for it to display, and I could close in on that. But ultimately, I could do that. I could also request MMS. This is MMS or multimedia pictures and media. And essentially what we found is for video, the best video clips are typically under 60 seconds in length. And we've done some testing with the various wireless carriers and found that it's best when I share a picture or video that is a little bit shorter in length. And again, I'm just going to send a picture in, and it typically takes a few seconds. It will display all multimedia stored on the platform for 1 year, and text messages are stored for 3 years. So this picture message is accessible and available for the wireless user to continue to share, as well as for a call taker dispatcher to see that media. And hopefully you're able to see the media here on my mobile phone. I could download that to the desktop. If you have policies that eliminate that capability, an administrator could go in and then download that information directly from the portal. The other thing is I could use the video streaming capability. There's some other providers out there doing it. I think one of the advantages is we offer that audibility with the number 911-911. I received a link on my mobile phone. It's essentially asking me if I want to share my camera. I'm going to say yes. We default to no audio at the beginning in order to ensure that the voice call is most pronounced. And I'm going to go ahead and, again, as I described before and advertised, kind of a rainy day here in Central Illinois. I could also share location as well. On my mobile phone, it's letting me know that I'm connected with an agent. All this is fully archived so that you have a record of the entire transaction. It typically takes a couple of seconds after completion. Now, one interesting thing here as well is I have the ability to share this with a first responder. There's no cost in doing this. Whether I want to take this link as a viewer, meaning they're not sharing their video, as a viewer, I can now share this video with a first responder, either send it as a text, drop it in a CAD, and send it to mobile data, et cetera. So there's that ability to allow others to view it as well. If I wanted to, I could go ahead and I'll again show my video. I could go ahead and collapse the video so I don't have to watch it. The session remains open, and I'm still able to share my video with that first responder. So, kind of a unique capability to make sure that first responders are able to take advantage. Now, essentially where we're seeing this capability most useful, situational awareness, where there may be a crime in progress and somebody's safely able to get video. We don't view that this is a solution, whether it's multimedia or streaming video for the blood, kind of gruesome murder scene. Essentially, this is a process that is completely controlled by the call taker dispatcher. They own the ability to solicit and request that multimedia during the session and then share it as they see fit. It's not something where residents or wireless users are able to click and share media at any time. And again, this could be as a result of a 911 call or 911 text session. Now, when I'm done with this, I could go ahead and release it. I wanted to show you one last thing, and that is I could go ahead and change the language here. So imagine this. Somebody is called via voice, and essentially, they're not a native English speaker. There are a couple different options. One, you could initiate a text back to them, or two, you could get language line. Let's say you get language line, determine that they're speaking Vietnamese. There's a pocket or a community in your jurisdictional area. You complete that call, but want to get additional information or dispatch a deputy or an officer to their premises. They ring the doorbell. There's nobody answers. You try to call them. As usual, nobody picks up a voice call. What you do is you go and initiate a text session, you change the language to Vietnamese, and then you go and send them a message, please answer the door for the uniformed officer or follow instructions. So there's an ability to, on demand, change the language for the translation, get a message out to the wireless user in that language, and offer them, kind of instructions via the language, and essentially serve as an interpreter between the wireless user and the deputy. I'm going to go ahead and release the text chat session. If there's any questions, feel free to stop me. I'm going to lastly show you kind of the administrative portal. Now, again, all of this was single sign-on, integrated within RapidSOS, both the inbound texting as well as the outbound initiated texting with that map capability. But as an example, there may be supervisors, there may be administrators. We provide the ability for a supervisor to create additional supervisor administrators who could do a couple things. One, of course, update the 20 CAN messages. Two, add or edit users, namely other supervisors or administrators. There's a simulation capability. There's an ability to barge or observe chat conversations if you're a supervisor. And then lastly, the reporting capability, which I think is most important. We keep several different reports, of which 3 are most important. The first one, of course, is a messaging report. This is a transactional report that shows all inbound, outbound messages, location queries, et cetera, with the ability to filter on the conversation. You see some of the filters there. We also maintain the original message as well as the translation. And I'm going to, as an example here, go in and search a particular conversation. Let's say, as an example, you've received a call from an attorney that you need this conversation here. You're able to completely filter the conversation, download it to a PDF. And now what I have is a subpoenable record that I could share, with the wireless user, or pardon me, with the local attorney that represents the conversation between the wireless user and your ECC. So you see that you have, kind of a complete record locked into a PDF conversation. I could apply other filters. I could do monthly report or weekly report as I saw fit. There are some relationships for jurisdictional districts where there may be kind of an overarching queue and then individual PSAPs, as well as we did in Greater Harris County, Texas, and a few other sites. I'm also going to pull down a session summary, which is more of a rolled up view of the conversation. Fairly similarly, I could store this as a PDF document, but as you'll notice, all the text calls in there, as well as the duration, the count of messages. And then lastly, and if in fact there were MMS multimedia, whether it be pictures or recorded video, they would come into the messaging summary. I'd be able to click and share them. Now, I could only download and share them as an administrator, meaning a call taker dispatcher can't simply log in, get reports, and download that. You also can't provide the link externally. It's only available within your ECC, which provides that layer of security. And then lastly is the archive video log. And essentially what you see here is all the individual archive videos. It usually takes a few seconds to a minute after the call is completed to archive the video, date timestamp, as well as the size. Typically pictures are, let's say several hundred kilobits to a millibyte. Recorded videos may be via MMS or typically a few megabytes. And then, these archive videos, and you can see some of the sizes there, anywhere from, 10 to 20 megabytes. So fair amount of storage. All that information is stored in the back end for about a year. I could only access these as a supervisor administrator. I could download them to my desktop. I could put them on a media server. I could attach them to a CAD incident. Always that capability exists. But again, the need here is to ensure auditability as well as security in maintaining this video. And with that, I'm going to see if there's any questions. I know it's only a few minutes here. I'm always happy to do demos or provide additional information to any agency that's looking to do this. And as I mentioned before, Sam, this is accessible both to users of the current portal as well as those that are looking at Premier Portal. And I think there are some discounts and subsidies available for those that are looking at Premier Portal. So I'm going to see if there's any questions or anything you wanted to add. I'm happy to always share information.
Thank you so much, Jay. That is huge. I absolutely love Agent 511 and seeing that through the RapidSOS portal. Opening it up to the general population for questions for Jay. Okay. As I said previously, I have a direct line of communication to Jay, and I'm happy to put you in touch with him. If you want a more personalized demo or just to speak about the solution or pricing or anything like that, I can put you in touch with him. Jay, seeing you from your car, we appreciate the dedication, sir. I hope you enjoy Illinois. Thank you so very much for being here, man.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate it, Sam, Bruce, and everybody from the state of Colorado. Nice catching up with you, and look forward to hearing any comments or any feedback. So thanks again. I'm going to sign off here.
Thanks, Jay. Have a great
Appreciate
afternoon.
it. Thanks. Take care.
Okay, folks, it looks like we are 10 minutes before the hour of when we were slated to end this session. So I will open it up to any questions for me or for Bruce or anything regarding RapidSOS, RapidSOS Premium, any of our partners, or any way I can assist any of you folks today. Otherwise, you are all free to go.
Well, this is Daryl. I just want to thank you and Bruce and all of your partners for coming in and providing the showcase today. I think it was extremely helpful, and maybe we'll do this again at some point in the future. I hope all of the attendees also found it helpful. I heard you say earlier that you're going to put together a list of all of the presenters and contact information for them. So when you have that, I will send it out to all of the participants. And I will also get the recording of this up in a couple of days. There might be some editing I have to do, but we'll get it up within probably within a week.
Awesome, Daryl. Thank you so much. Before the end of the day, I'll have a sheet out to you with contact information and maybe solution websites for all the attendees today. I did also want to say just a huge thank you to all the 911 folks and the partners on the call today. For it to be my job to introduce you to folks who can help you guys do your job better, or to make 911 a better experience in your center, to save costs, to save time, to save lives. That's my job, and that's a total pleasure to be able to say I do that for a living. So thank you guys so very much.
Excellent. And to answer Paul's question in the chat, this will, after I do the editing that's necessary on it, I'll be putting this up on the 911 Advisory Task Force's YouTube channel. And after that's done, I will send the link out to the statewide listserv.
Sam, you're muted, but thank you, Daryl. Appreciate it. And just a big thanks to Sam. He took the organization of this process on his shoulders. He did a great job. It was something I had intended to help him with and got sucked into other things, so wasn't able to. But I just want to throw out a kudos to Sam for putting this together.
Well, thank you, Bruce, and also a huge kudos to Daryl and Holly for providing the platform and outlet to get all this information to our ECCs. Thanks so much, Daryl.
Very good. Any
All right,
other
thanks,
last minute
everybody.
questions for Sam or Bruce? All right. Well, thank you, RapidSOS team, and thanks to all of your partners, and thanks to all of the participants who came today. I think this was extremely helpful, and look forward to talking to you all again in the future.
Thanks, Daryl.
Let us know if we can help. Thank you.